and some other people would be interested to see what was my reaction to UFC 323. I watched it live. It just ended. The event ended recently. So yeah, I'm gonna share my opinions, my feelings, not only regarding the Piotr Jan versus Merab fight, but basically the main card. I woke up a little bit late. I didn't watch early prelims. I watched a couple or three fights of the prelims, and then I focused mainly on the main card, which was, well, quite interesting. Hello, Matt. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Um, but yeah, so let's wait some folks hop in the live stream, and I assume a lot of you guys gonna ask me, well, what's my reaction, how I feel about Merab losing his bantamweight title. So yeah, let's wait for it. Oh, I'm gonna start talking about some other fight. First of all, I think Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov. I think Blachowicz won. Yes, Guskov definitely had the moment. He knocked him down heavy, and he definitely took second round, 100%. But first and last round, I think Jan Blachowicz took away, and he also showed a relentless experience, and he showed the experience in that sport, how it looks like. Uh, but yeah, it was draw. In my opinion, Jan won. But a draw is not the worst outcome. It's kind of fair, uh, fair point. Regarding, okay, yeah, I'm waiting for more people to come in regarding Merab versus Jan. You know what? Same as Merab, reacted absolutely with the dignity. He said that he's not gonna use excuses. He's crazy weight cuts, which obviously would affect it. Like Piotr was affected with his injury in the previous their fight. Obviously, the weight cuts too. It's like it just ruins your body. But I respect it. I love that Merab didn't use it as an excuse, and he called Jan a better fighter that night, which he was. Absolutely giving a credit to Piotr Jan for his preparation. He did amazing. His team did it amazing. They found the key aspects of basically countering Merab's fighting style. Definitely an enhancement in cardio on Piotr Jan's side. The only thing is, I also gonna give credit Merab for is, did you see that that fight was the night of the event, well deserved, instead of just Merab pushing. And again, I'm not saying he actually, obviously Merab tried to go for takedowns, and Jan was very well prepared, so grappling thing was not that much of an option. I think Piotr actually was better at doing the takedown and actually controlling it for a little bit longer, I guess. But striking wise, Merab striking, specifically boxing, a little bit of elbows. Like, he really tried to make it entertainment, and I was saying that before, that his team, once he became a champion, they're gonna try to make him play less safe and evolve as the more entertaining fighter. And that was not a fight; that was entertaining fight. It was good both ways, and obviously Piotr Jan won. Within that close fight, he definitely outperformed Merab. So completely, yeah. I'm not gonna, same as Merab. I'm not gonna seek for excuses. This is MMA, people. Like, everything can happen, and someone's at some point can prepare better than you. Um, Figure out your game and win. But I'm looking forward for the rematch, and that's what Merab also said. He said, of course, he wants the rematch, and that's the beauty of it. A lot of people gonna think that, oh, he's too old for it. He's like this and that. Well, we shall see that. So I think it's gonna be exciting trilogy. There is now one win on Merab's side, one win on the Piotr Jan side, and yeah, Piotr absolutely well deserved. I'm not gonna come up with excuses or anything like that. So yeah, let me see on the in the chat. Like and subscribe, Matt. Thank you. All champs still lost today in a huge favorite. That's crazy. Well, Pantoja's loss was crazy because it was an accident. Like after Anderson Silva's broken shin, I think that was one of the most like unpleasant thing to see. Imagine like doing the high kick, literally being off the air, and Joshua kind of pushed him. Obviously, not intentionally. That's natural thing that he would do, and he was landing on his elbow, and you saw how it snapped. Right? It was tough, man. Like I mean. So that one, and the problem with that kind of injury, Pantoja is off the game for quite a long time, and he's 38 years old. So could be very exciting to see him doing a comeback. But if he would do that, I would see him like kind of making a comeback, getting the belt in at the best case, and then retiring because he's closer to that age. And that injury, he gonna need the surgery. He gonna need a recovery at least more than 6 months, more than that. But it's interesting to see. Flyweight is now kind of full of young. So we have the young champion, Joshua Van, and we have a number one contender, which is Tatsuro Taira. I love Tatsuro. I think he's a prodigy. Yeah, we shall see how that goes. Were you surprised at the outcome? Be honest. I was not. I in the first rounds when I started seeing just Merab doing striking. I mean, he said he's gonna go and he will try to knock him out. I was kind of like, and he actually had Merab actually throw way more punches total. But then when I started seeing Jan adapting to the pace, actually being brilliant at doing the takedown defense, there was like one or two takedowns from the Merab side on Jan, and he didn't hold him back. So I was like, I started getting nervous. I was like, okay. But then I was also excited with the fight because every time, and those Piotr was more accurate on the damaging shots, like obviously he broke Merab's nose, but the rib shots, like he's ripped and he landed few body shots, body kicks, and he also I think he did some uppercuts, so he threw some punches there. That was painful. You could see that on the Merab's face. Both of them, so like you could see Merab getting tired in the end, but obviously I cannot say that Young was more fresh. They by the end of the time, cardio wise, they both were slowed down. But I was kind of excited seeing once one of those would land something, the other one would try to counter straight away, and I think that was well deserved. The best fight of the night. What do you think about that? Yeah, someone says Piotr lost. Well, if you could look at the generally thrown punches and landed punches, kind of it's interesting. Well, again, I also expected to make for them to make it a draw, so kind of also make it. But again, those heavily landed shots, more damaged. Definitely, you could see Merab being more in pain. He had more dangerous moments, though. You see a lot of landed jabs on the Yan side. Yan was swallowing those jabs. Let's be honest, and Merab's having a step up in his boxing game. And I'm excited to see now after that loss how much it's going to become a motivation. He's still 34 years old. So with his cardio, with his, well, basically evolving game, and his focus on progress, we shall see. I think there is still some things to happen in the future. what can Merab do in the rematch? Jan proved so much. Well, a lot of people thought the same about Jan. What can Jan do after the first fight? But you saw how well prepared he was, right? You saw how basically how he leveled up. So that's not right attitude, especially we know the triologies, and it was not like okay. Let's be honest as well. Like let's be clear on that one and be honest to yourself. Was it like Jan completely mauled Merab and made him look like casual? No, it was a very exchanging fight. Merab threw way more punches quantity wise. Jan was brilliant in the takedown defenses, and he was also more accurate onto super damaging shots that was like invisible within a fight. And the pace wise, it just like, I mean, yeah, there was no knockdowns, there was no knockout apparently, or no submission. There was attempts from Merab's side on the guillotine. So that was a good fight. That was a good fight. And people who say that, oh, that was not good to fight, then they are just like casuals. Because, okay, Merab could be boring for a lot of people in the beginning because he would just rely on wrestling. Well, now he decided not to rely on his wrestling. He decided to fully go in like striking mostly. Then obviously Piotr Jan did a great job on preparing against the Merab's wrestling as well. So now it's not that easy for either of those. And obviously, Piotr was just, in this case, slightly better than Merab at that night. Merab himself said that. So what's nothing wrong with that? I loved. I was listening. I wanted to hear what Merab would say after many years of not losing. I wanted to see if he would say any excuse or not. He did. They asked him about them. Joe Rogan specifically asked about weight cuts and how, and he said, "Yeah, it's always difficult, but it's he signed up for that himself, and he's not gonna use that as an excuse." And he called Piotr Jan as a better fighter that night. This is how real fighters do. They don't fight excuses like Umar Nurmagomedov likes to do, for example. Jan landed clean shots while Merab was just winging them in the later rounds. Yeah, I mean, Merab definitely, you can say that Merab landed a lot of accurate jabs. A lot of accurate jabs. You can rewatch that fight later on, and that is one thing you can give to Merab. But Merab is clearly into the process of stepping up his striking game. That was already visible with the Corey Sandhagen fight, and there it was like Merab basically was mostly on the feet. Yeah, he tried to, you know, go more into safer dynamic for himself, and if it first round it was more successful, but then later on, Piotr Jan did a great job to keep the fight mostly in the stance, and he even landed takedowns himself multiple. Yeah, Jan looked so good in this fight. He seriously improved his cardio. That's amazing. I think that's great. And that's what we've been talking about. The only way to win against Merab, you need to have that cardio. So Piotr Jan, I think his team and him really realized the key importance of that factor. Um, but also, I'm still happy that it was close fight. I'm still happy that Merab was actually focused on making that fight as entertaining as possible and doing that for fans. I think that was also a great thing from him. The left body hook of the clinch break in the round two was beautiful. Yeah, there was a lot of beautiful shots. That for Piotr Jan, that first body was, I think that was the right side, the body shots. That was super painful, and that was clean. What do you about Van winning the title? I don't know. I was actually thinking, could they do that non-contest because that was injury? I don't know, but it was also not that was not Van's fault. And that the injury, Pantoja is not going to be able, so they would have to do interim titles and wait until Pantoja recovers. And he is not getting younger, so I think it is what it is. I mean, it's obviously it doesn't. In that fight, Pantoja versus Van did not he didn't say anything about Pantoja being worse. That was just unfortunate casualty. Jan comes with full preparation. Yeah. Okay. As I said, I responded about the one winning the fight. Now I'm gonna try to respond more to the questions here. I'm in Vietnam, Nha Trang. Striking of Jan was on and level in this time. I mean, um, well, Jan he always been a well-rounded fighter, even before Merab. It's just when he faced Merab was so much better with cardio. But this time, both having a good cardio, and Merab is trying something new for his style. And obviously, Piotr Jan super well prepared, physically, technique wise, recovery, like everything, and more accurate on those shots. So that was super close fight. If they said it was a draw, I mean, that could be also the thing. If they still would give it to Merab, that would be a little bit controversial win. So, well, I don't disagree necessarily Piotr winning it. I mean, it was super close fight, but there are many factors, and I'm quite excited to see what Merab's gonna come back with. A lot of people gonna now have him as an underdog, but man, Merab is the Merab is Merab. Instant rematch. Well, that's the problem. No instant rematch for Merab. He literally that was the fourth title difference for him. And as much as he didn't use it an excuse, that is the only thing I'm gonna use an excuse in his game. That's so much weight cut. That's an exhaustion. It's basically wearing out your body. So no, let Piotr defend his title with other contenders and let Merab rest. Let Merab rest first. Jan is a real machine, absolutely outclassed Merab everywhere. Takedown, defense, sharp, devastating, striking. Well, when you say absolutely outclassed him, it was a super close fight. And I'm not saying because I'm Merab's fan or I'm Georgian myself, but I'm trying to be as fair as possible. But even volume was like obviously Jan stepped up his endurance game and his takedown defense and his grappling 100%. I'm giving that credit to him. But did you see the stats? Merab thrown twice as much punches. Some of them landed, some of them were check jabs, a lot of landing jabs. Jan swallowed a lot of Merab's jabs. The problem with Merab is he was throwing so much volume, almost like a boxing style, rather than being more calculative. And I think they're gonna work on that too. But if you look stat wise, there are a lot of okay. I'll say I'm 100% sure that there were like more thrown punches by Merab's side, and there are a lot of landed jabs that by what I see. But I need to. I went live stream straight away, so I'm not gonna just talk out of my ass about the more landed punches. Technically, he has more landed punches. They were just not as damaging. That is the important part here. Okay, let's keep scrolling up. Yeah, Merab fought like that was the fourth time actually. And look at the Piotr Jan cardio. He didn't slow down. Also, his cardio was same as Merab. I would say even better today. As I said, one mistake on the Merab side. He was striking great, but that's the thing. As a striker, Marcel, I can tell you, moving, throwing so many punches. Some of them land, some of them not. But like not. So if you increase the volume amount of the punches, you automatically decrease the power because you're gonna wear off yourself. So pacing wise, Jan was way more calculated, and as a result, obviously, with his experience and with his great striking, he was more accurate on actually putting that damage. One good thing Merab was doing, obviously, jabbing. Like a lot of jabs that Merab throw. Like Jan throwed more jabs than Merab did. But again, when the pace that Merab held in striking was way more exhausting, so he kind of set himself up a little bit for when you do same on the striking that like that pace, it's not same in the wrestling. In the wrestling, you're both on the ground. When you're in a dominating position in the wrestling, then grappling, you don't waste that much energy as your opponent. But when you are like bouncing a lot and throwing a lot of some of even unnecessary punches, when you are in doing striking, you are getting more tired. So that is a key factor. Let me know what you think about it. I'm telling you as a boxer myself, because that was a lot of a boxing fight, basically. Yeah, the kick was tough. That was a crazy kick by Piotr Jan. Damn, keep scrolling up. Yeah, I'm not saying that was a draw by naturally. I said that UFC could make it a draw. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they do just for the sake of whatever. Sometimes they have a favorite, heavy favorite champion. So in UFC, that being some stuff that kind of didn't make sense. But that was a close fight. You can't say that that wasn't a close, good exchanging fight. There, both of them showed the warrior mentality. But I think that apart from the great cardio preparation that Jan went through, he also paced it better. He did pacing better, and Merab don't have that much experience. That was his first fight where he spent majority of the fight basically boxing. That was his first fight, I think, and he had too many punches, high volume, and high pace, lower impact, lower damage, and essentially that's the machine, the Georgian machine wore himself off a little bit on that one factor. Jan's takedown defense was phenomenal, 100%. No, no, super strong, super like, and it's not only like with the takedown defense, there is a little bit of technique, but it's a lot of physicality. It's a lot of hard, like strength training. So he went through a solid strength training. He looked very great, and well, you could see he was just standing strong on his feet, and he was able to do a super solid takedown defenses, knowing also that Merab is super pressuring, one of the most pressuring grapplers that. Yeah, and the takedowns. Yeah, 100%. He did more takedowns than Merab did. Merab did, I think, couple clean takedowns, but then Jan did a great job recovering straight away. So, yeah, here we go. But as I said, as a striker, because the majority fight was in striking, Merab chose too high value, too high pace, and less damage. Because if you're gonna work like this, it's just automatically you're not gonna put that much impact. When the Yan was way more yeah, he was jabbing off too, not as much as the Merab, but he was looking for the opening. So Merab chose volume striking versus Jan's calculated striking. And guys, calculated striking wins, in my opinion, most of the time. So, but I still appreciate Merab for trying to make it into an entertaining fight. Merab needs at least 8 months off. I completely agree. He needs time off. I don't think a lot of people. I love that he didn't use that as an excuse. I love that he acknowledged Piotr Jan as a champion. Champions or former champions, a real true champions don't make excuses. That's what I think. That's what I believe in. Even if there are reasons, But me as the person who, well, I'm talking through the point of view certain, issues. Yes, that Merab's example is kind of also the proof that fighting 4 times a year is a lot. Is a lot for an athlete. It's and especially going through those drastic, very aggressive weight cuts. It takes up your energy. Obviously, if you have less energy, it creates a problem with pace, with focus, with all the things that you need for the fight. So, as I always say, within training, within the long term, short term, recovery is the most important part of the preparation and performance and life. Generally, in life, if you want to have a good result with your training, you need to give yourself enough time to recover. It was a good fight. No, it was. And it wasn't a boring fight. Yeah, I'm married. Thank you. Matt is one of our moderators and he's been here for a long time. I'm from Georgia myself. I'm from same country as Merab, by the way. Well, ask me about the other fights too. I watched the entire main card, so I know that Merab's fight, Merab versus Jan, was the most like the main thing, and it was a great fight. But yeah, we had Cejudo versus Talpad, and we had Brandon Moreno, first time being finished like to TKO by uh, uh, Tyra. What's his name? Tatsuro Tyra. Interesting. He's gonna be like his fight against Joshua one's gonna be interesting. I think Tatsuro can have the chances to win. He has all of it. So yeah, I mean, but basically, there was a good main card. I think, except the Pantoja's unfortunate injury. Merab visibly looked more hurt, but it was close fight for sure. And again, I'm gonna say it one more time. That was the thing. Merab's team and Merab, because he's used to pace, and pressure through the wrestling mostly. He chose the same strategy when in the striking. So he chose the volume, high pace striking versus Piotr Jan's lower pace, more calculated striking. And this is what happens: the more calculated striking, because you can swallow some jabs, and that's the thing. If you get a lot of volume punching, but you realize that it actually doesn't really damage that you. It's not that heavy because you can feel it when you spar, when you fight. You can feel the power of your opponent. There were some clean shots were stopping Jan in the beginning of the rounds, but the more the pressure was going on and on, the rounds were going on and on. Merab was getting tired, and he was still trying to keep the same volume and pace. Where Jan was more okay. Let me just sit down and calculate, and because Merab was mostly focusing on the boxing, and he was like there were a couple cool elbows from the outside. All of a sudden, Jan goes and he goes the body kick. That was the first one where he damaged the rib cage. So that is calculated striking. This is the better, like the volume striking always loses, I think, against calculated, more powerful, more concentrated striking. And I think that was the maybe biggest mistake in that fight. But Merab is not natural striker. He's been showing his improvement and evolvement in striking within the since he became a champion. He's trying to get better, and he basically chose to go there. So he's still growing there. He's still learning, as he's saying. So yeah, it is what it is. Piotr Jan is one of the most well-rounded UFC fighters generally, and it was before Merab as well. Just Merab was like a big first time they fought. It was like a big hurdle, cardio-wise. But absolutely props to Piotr Jan working his game up like big time. Yes, with your super chat here, guys, feel free to super chat me the live stream. Piotr Jan has one of the best orthodox boxing in UFC. 2 3 years Dagestan, Petr will be unstoppable in bantamweight. Well, now it's a good point, and his age is still good for it. He already showed a big step up in his grappling slash wrestling and the takedown defenses as well. I'm from Georgia, same country um, as Merab. Truth champions lost. That's okay. That's okay. Merab. I think Merab already proved that he's legendary. He's great, and he's a great champion. He's humble, even in his loss. That's his first loss in such a long time, and he's being humble and honorable. And that's why I love Merab, and I will love Merab, and definitely a rematch, but not an immediate one. Our champ, our Georgian lion, has to recover and rest first. Let's be clear, Jan did more damage. Merab was bloodied in the first round, and later Jan utilized body kicks and body shots as well. So Jan did real damage, not Merab. Stop crying. Not crying. I'm commenting. So you rather be better be respectful, or you're just gonna be kicked out of here. So just just letting you know, guys. Yes, that's what we said. That's what I said. Jan was way more calculated. That's called he was a calculating striker. He's one of the best strikers in the bantamweight, anyways. But he also stepped up his stamina aspect, his takedown defenses, his grappling, and generally he just came back with a full preparation. And Merab's again mistake is not he kind of learning striking through MMA. Like you cannot say that his striking game has been upgraded. That's the first Merab fight, I think, when he chose to literally go striking for entertainment sake and that kind of stuff. And when you choose a volume striking, it automatically becomes less accurate against the calculated, more strategic striking. So I'm just saying the kind of like the little details behind it. There is no way an excuse for Merab. I think that Piotr Jan was a better fighter that night. That's the same words as Merab said. And I think we fans should be also more honorable when someone from our country loses. It's good when they are honorable, but even if not, we gotta be just real, you know. Piotr Jan was a yet better strategy. He was super well prepared. He definitely faced Merab he countered his style, and most importantly, his endurance. But they also generally gave us a close, entertaining fight. That was probably one of the most entertaining fights in Merab's career. Let's be honest, that was the most entertaining fight in Merab's career, despite him losing. So, yeah, whoever calls that fight, just because Merab used to just walk through everyone, and that is the hardest fight for Merab that where he lost. You know, it doesn't mean that that was like Piotr Jan mauling him. That would be if Merab would get knocked out. That would be if Merab would get gassed out for the second round. That was very beautiful, close fight with the clear enough Piotr Jan's advantage. Absolutely. Well, I'm gonna ignore the comments who are like, "Oh, Russia is rising up again." Not Russia. Piotr Jan won. He represents Russia. I understand fans are happy and stuff, but we're talking here about real mixed martial arts, breaking down and giving respect to both fighters regarding other fights. Like for example, Pantoja versus Van. That was a very unfortunate situation, but it happened, right? And I respected Joshua Van for saying that he thinks that Pantoja is a legend, that he's not happy about how it happened, but he was happy genuinely to get becoming a champion. Well, in a very odd way, obviously, but there are now potential in the flyweight. Flyweight's getting more interesting. I hope Alexander Pantoja recovers fast, but again, that injury unfortunately takes a surgery. It's gonna take a longer recovery, but I still hope to see him to fight for the belt at least one more time before retiring. So we shall see that as well. Um, Definitely, uh, Brandon Moreno. He used to be a champion in the flyweight, and then we like this young guy. Japan is stepping up their game. I'm telling you, Japan is getting bigger. Tatsuro Taira absolutely like dominated. I mean, second round it was a little bit weird. The first round was a little bit weird. Like it's if some casual person would just see, okay, that's the first MMA fight they see, and they see him literally being stuck for 3 minutes in the guillotine from Brandon. That was a little bit funny comment actually, but yeah, second round obviously he won via TKO. And yeah, we have Cejudo. Okay, I think they just gave Cejudo for to be eaten alive to Talbot. Talbot is massive comparing to Cejudo, way younger, basically a bantamweight prodigy, like a new prospect. And man, that was did Cejudo retire or that was his fight, like the last fight in contract or something? I'm not sure, but I mean, Pantoja is a legend. He's in his own right, and he's one of the smallest people in the UFC. Entirely dominated flyweight, bantamweight at some point. So yeah, it's a little bit sad. Like literally giving him someone who potentially might be in the future can be at least like the number one contender. And then we have Jan Blashovic, and we have Bogdan Guskov. I think Blashovic won. That was a draw. I don't know. Tell me what you think. I think Blashovic won. Yeah, the second round clearly was Guskov's, but first round slightly it was. I would give it to Jan Blashovic, and the last one I think Blashovic that took one like fair and square, and that was also showed his experience. He's been in UFC since like 2014 or something. Okay, let me scroll from the chat again. And guys, I'm not gonna respond to disrespectful stuff. We're not crying here, bitching here, or anything like that. I'm gonna respond to the solid commentary here. This is what people expected GDM to do against Islam. Piotr Jan has such a great heart to survive against a beast. No, Piotr Jan did an amazing job with preparation, and I got I respect him even more for that. You know, despite him saying some things about like in his first fight, I think there was he said something about Georgia, but like again, if we put all that stuff aside, as a fighter, he's a warrior. He is disciplined. I respect him, and he's one of the best well-rounded fighters out there. However, did anyone expect that fight really be in a stance? Everyone probably thought that Merab just would use safe um, his strategy, just pushing on the takedowns, one takedown, two takedowns, three takedowns, multiple takedowns, and just wearing him off or something like that. But obviously, he had a great takedown defense, but also it was mostly in the striking, and I think it was a beautiful striking match. I think so. I'm training boxing myself. That's why I'm kind of pushing the like commenting a little bit of the boxing aspect of it. I'm doing boxing. I just want to say, Piotr Jan beat Sugar Shao. His ground game is way more advanced than Sean. Domination. Yes. No, I mean, well deserved win, but close fight. Good, beautiful, close fight. But obviously not close to be controversial. It's close, but Piotr Jan won. Let me be clear on that one, okay? You are wrong. Merab did wrestle, but terribly failed. Well, Piotr Jan stepped up his takedown defense. I've been saying that. But I don't think if you never did neither of striking or wrestling, there is a difference between the cardio. People say wrestling is harder, and yeah, wrestling is, but it's about what you're getting used to it. Merab is used to relentless pressure, high intensity wrestling. This time, okay, they're trying to make him a legend, right? He wants to prove everyone that he can strike as well. So the plan is to do striking. Well, the problem is doing high volume striking and the short notice since before fights, he didn't like four fights, four title defenses, title defense attempts within the year is a lot. And here switching between boom, like boom, boom, like explosive and bouncing a lot and explosive, that is a wrong strategy when you do striking. So I think the machine actually, that thing played the factor for him to wear himself off. There is a such thing to wear himself off. In the boxing, in the striking, it's very often when you step up your game more, you actually stop bouncing like an amateur boxer, like Olympic style. And if you go to pro, you need to learn how to pace it differently, more of the calculated strike, which is Piotr Jan was better. That was a better strategy. And yeah, I mean, he won fair and square, right? Okay, yeah, Merab had the street fights maybe before this year. Okay, I'm keep scrolling up. Please don't spam, guys. Okay, I'm gonna get to your stuff, to your comment. Merab should have took the year off, but he will come back harder. Oh yeah, he 100% will come back harder. But I believe that he needs to rest. Recovery, guys. Recovery is one of the most important things. Okay. Four fights in the weight cut in a year affected Merab, but Young comes damn prepared with a strategy and calculated striking. Well, very good summary of what I've been ranting about. The shift, good, well said. That's basically it. And we're not taking away we're not taking away credit from Jan. Piotr Jan won fair and square, but at the same time, let's give a credit to Merab trying to defend his title fourth time, trying to go full striking, do boxing, which is, you know, no one would expect to. So I think that was a good fight. Respect to both. Respect that Piotr Jan gave a credit to Merab's team. He said that Algerman Sterling's team. Piotr Jan said that super strong team, giving them credit. So it's a good acknowledgement from his side. And obviously Merab didn't start making any excuses. He was just like Piotr Jan was better today. The only thing Merab said, he tried to make it entertaining fight, and he's happy about that. Dana White liked it, people liked it. So yeah, basically, I think Merab's gonna be back. I don't think he's done. It sucked that you have to put up with the Merab hate after he's lose, but it's so be expected, so brave of you to go live and speak about it. I appreciate it, but like I want people to, I'm also trying to establish myself, like guys, let me say that I'm trying to establish myself as the person who likes to talk about and watch mixed martial arts. Obviously my primary sport is boxing, but I'm always going to try to be fair and square. Like if Georgian fighters, if Merab started by making excuses, I would say that I didn't like it. I would say that, that's not the best strategy, and that not the best strategy for, having your decency out there and having a decent persona. So Bernaldo, I appreciate it because there is nothing to run from. Everyone can win and everyone can lose. Piotr Jan lost against Merab. He came back, he won. So this is the beauty of MMA, right? And when it comes to the like fan base and us commentary, live streaming about it. It's same. You know what's that? And it was a good fight. I would be more frustrated, honestly, if it was complete domination from Piotr Yan, like a full domination. But I would still give him a credit. I would say, okay, Piotr Yan was the best person. So yeah, I appreciate for acknowledging that. That Japanese can win against Van. They don't have any chance against Pantoja, but Pantoja is out more than a year. Yeah, that's true. It's that nasty injury that's gonna take some time. But Pantoja is also getting older. He might come back to kind of for the title and then retire. That's kind of how I see that might happen. But Japanese guy, he's still getting that experience, and I think he can win the Tatsuro. Let's call him by name, Tatsuro Taira. I think he can win by against Joshua One. Uh, he have several advantages against him. His BJJ game is being solid. BJJ game is actually very good. So it would be interesting to see him against Pantoja. I don't know. I don't know when that happens, obviously, because of that injury, but we shall see. Yeah, about Lemon Roar, Isaac Crest. I haven't watched prelims. Sorry, guys, just because it was early morning. I was back late, so I slept through it. So I woke up and was like, oh, shit, I just missed the prelims. Basically, I watched yeah, the main card and couple fights before the main card. Like and subscribe. Thank you, appreciate it. Yeah, the second round was a 10-8. That is why it's a draw. Well, yeah, no, good point. Like the second round was super dominating, but again, draw is something that you can give a draw, but you also can give a win. I would still lean towards Jan winning. Not Piotr Jan in this case. We're talking about the Jan Blashovic, the AK Polish power. Why do you think he lost? Well, two factors. I think for everyone, not only Merab, and he's not invincible like anyone else. Uh, Fighting 4 times, cutting that way down and up, like almost fighting like every 3 months months or something, and almost fully being in a fight camp all the time, pretty much, is too detrimental for the body. That's the first thing, especially at the Merab's age. Once you're about 30, your body is not really tolerating that well. That's my opinion from the physical um, like body health aspect. And the second one is I think the striking strategies. Merab had chose the volume striking. He was bouncing a lot. He One thing he was doing great was jabbing. He landed a lot of jabs and he could keep accumulating on it. But then he like a lot of punches was slipping through. He was just kind of rushing more and it seemed like he has more volume, but then all of a sudden you see him bleeding instead of Jan. Well, the reason is because when you have higher volume and the higher pace striking and less powerful striking against more calculated, more paced down, more strategic, but more damaging because you already like you calculate your opponent and you find those off each other. That's what Piotr Jan did very, very, very successfully. You could see Merab like really hurting in that fight. Otherwise, it was close fight, but obviously, also Piotr Jan equalized the wrestling factor as well. Once Merab started going for the wrestling, Piotr Jan definitely prepared for those takedown attempts. Very brilliant takedown defense, and actually, he performed a few good takedowns. I think he performed even more takedowns than Merab. So that was like the equalizing. Piotr Jan was basically in his more comfortable and upgraded uh, field waters, let's call it that way, which is boxing, striking, kicking. And for Merab kind of chose to do that, just to entertain his fans. And I think he's really challenging himself to keep getting better as the better mixed martial artist, even as a champion. So he was not trying to be like just dominate, use his wrestling and comfortably for himself, and that's it. Keep his fights boring. I think he's been trying hard to make his fights more and more entertaining, but he chose the wrong pace. Wrong pace, too high of the pace, less damage, and here we go. Feel set for Pantoja. Oh yeah, I was like, no, like literally, I was in the coffee shop. I was like, no. The other is a goat. You know Armenia. Armenia is my neighboring country. Of course, I know Armenia. Merab is down for this year. Oh, he got a rest. He got a rest, 100%. The face of Merab broke him. Yeah, like as I said, more accurate, calculated striking is amazing. You basically preserve your energy. You don't waste your energy on too much moving, too much bouncing, too much being like too wired, throwing unnecessary punches. If you look at stats, Merab threw almost like a double of the punches and hits what Jan did. But damage-wise, you saw that Piotr Jan applied way more significant damage. So if Merab wants to learn to be a knockout artist, he needs to do something similar. Well, as Ilya Topuria or like Topuria's boxing school, they have very calculated boxing. They are learning how to do that, not the volume boxing. Merab is a beast and there is a machine too, but the machine also needs conditioning and the rest. He should also take time and title defenses. Well, now again, as not a champion anymore, now he's like probably gonna go on the number two contender. But even if he's number one contender, he needs to rest. Like his attitude that, oh, I'm gonna fight whenever they tell me to fight, or like I'll fight as no, he needs to rest. Merab lost because he was overconfident to take 4 fights a year. He wasn't prepared for Jan, and he was showed that only cardio cannot beat everyone. Jan was prepared for Merab. Merab was. You can add up. Merab usually doesn't underestimate his opponents. He doesn't. Like he never ever in his interviews said that. Oh, like I can. I like. He says yes. I believe I can win this and that. I'll try to knock you out. And well, he basically tried. He tried to do, and he did the striking. But he did the wrong strategy when it comes to striking. He had to train more instead of the volume striking. He had to train more into do countering and calculating striking like Piotr Jan did. Then in that case, but again, that comes from experience. General striking, Piotr Jan is way more experienced than Merab as well. So I would add that factor as well. But yeah, overconfident to a certain extent, I guess. But he also has the team for a reason to kind of back him off or not. So I think they just tried, as a champion and when you're dominating for that many years, you want to step up your game. You want to do something that no one else did before. You want to break some records. And I guess that's what Merab's team's attitude towards, having that one more fight. But again, when the Piotr Jan's team, Piotr Jan himself did a brilliant job. They really broke down they countered Merab's style. Considering that Merab again did more striking, high pacing, that was also a little bit of again a factor. We shall see. We shall see how it goes after. Okay, Merab was fighting the whole year. That's why he lost. Again, that's one. I said two factors. One factor is the too often fights in a year. Second factor was high volume, high pace, low damage striking against calculated, lower pace, damaging striking of Piotr Jan. Like this factor also matters. Let me know if you agree with that one. Yeah, I mean, someone said Merab was overconfident. To a certain extent, I guess. And the good thing is, you're right. If you're a good fighter, if you're a good warrior, when you lose, when you fall down, it helps you to raise up, so you come back stronger. So I'm excited to see what Merab has to offer. Pantoja breaks arm, loses belt to get eye pokes. He still has his belt. Bullshit. Well, Pantoja broke arm because of the accident. It was not Joshua Wan's fault. It was no one's fault. The eye poke, I think, Gunn was supposed to be disqualified, not just no contest. So don't even bring up eye pokes here. You are guys just casuals if you think that eye pokes are okay, and especially that eye poke that happened to. Uh, Speaking of if Tom Aspinall would win that fight or not, that's another story. I'm not gonna talk about that. But when you have the double eye poke, and he actually there is a confirmed injury that he actually might need two surgeries on his eyes. Like people who cheat on Tom in this case, you're just casuals, guys. Sorry, not sorry. Merab got beat up. That's a little bit loud thing to say. That was a close fight, and Merab got damaged. That's 100%. Piotr was very good at applying a significant damage in the fight. It didn't lead to a knockout though. Yep, Merab was making excuses because he tried making Jan down, and Jan was prepared. Well, Jan was prepared, and I don't think just because he didn't mention. I mean, don't forget he was after a 25 minute fight where he was getting significant damage and his nose was broken. So after that moment, you're a little bit vague. He gave a credit to Piotr Jan straight away. He kind of said that he was a better man. That's enough thing to say. That by basically means that he was better at fighting, at striking, and taking down defense. Just because he didn't break it down right after the fight, when he was a little bit fuzzy, it doesn't mean that he was making excuses. But saying that Merab actually, well, he said what he said because that's true. He tried to make a more entertaining fight. I think that's the fact. That's not an excuse. The excuse is to say that, oh, I did a lot of whatever the weight cuts and defense this year. I was more over. My hand was broken. This and that. Those are, even though if they're true, those are the excuses. He didn't make any of those. So I don't know, guys. Like when it comes to that, I think he took his defeat very honorably. So guys dislocated his arm is legal in fight and not eye pokes, which is inevitable. Yes, he was falling, and the eye pokes inevitable. Okay, that is. There's some casual saying some nonsense here. You know, check the statistics. There in UFC, only in UFC specifically, there is 14% of the all the fighters are responsible for 65% of the eye pokes. Okay, now put the math a little bit together, and it would take 14% of those people who are responsible for majority of the eye pokes and known for their dirty game. Then there are no eye pokes. It takes to keep your hands a little bit like this. It's gonna happen sometimes by accident when because you push away. There's no problem. But the problem is with a lot of there's some UFC fighters that just are like used to keeping their hands relatively locked, and their styles are just normal. And there are some fighters that just have that dirty habit. I'm not saying they do it intentionally, but it's like a super stupid habit that just needs to be. They just need to disqualify people who do that. So people start trained to keep their fists a little bit more locked. That's it. Obviously, you can change gloves because that can affect the grappling thing, grappling aspect of the fight. Okay, I'm keep scrolling up, guys. It's a lot of commentary. Please flex those muscles so you look fit. I mean, I'm okay. Well, if you're bored with my words and you don't leave the live stream, just take a pillow, put your head down, and enjoy. You're Georgian, that's why you're backing up Merab. Well, I'm Georgian, and I'm absolutely giving a credit to Piotr Jan for winning and congratulating for him, and just acknowledging his brilliant preparation and doing everything amazingly, everything correctly. Like there was basically no mistake from Piotr Jan's side. And yes, I'm Georgian, and I'm saying that. But I'm also breaking down the fight, and I'm also breaking down the strategies and also mistakes from the Murab side and all that kind of stuff. Murab got another casual. Murab got his ass whooped by Jan. That was a beautiful, exchanging, entertaining fight where Piotr Jan was a better man. It wasn't like super close fight to the point that it could be a draw. Not that way. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if UFC did the draw, but that would be basically striping the Piotr Jan. But good, they gave it to Piotr Jan, and essentially it was a close, good mixed martial art fight. So everyone was saying, just laughing at the people who actually put themselves in the octagon and well risk their health to show us that beauty in emotion. I mean, man, so many casuals. Come on, guys. Georgia's gonna have zero champs soon. Well, you know what? I'm still gonna keep watching UFC. Don't worry. But we shall see how things go. Hey, Gabby, how are you doing? Okay, keep scrolling up, guys. Appreciate you. He wasn't trying to stand up with Jan to give an entertaining fight. He was not given any other choice by Jan due to a takedown defense. I can agree with you to a certain extent, but you have you seen Merab's fights? He can just keep pressing and pressing and pressing and pressing and pressing and pressing, make it extremely boring up until that works. I'm not taking that away from Piotr. I'm saying that he was very well prepared for the takedowns. That's 100%. But from the other hand, as a striker myself, I can tell you the way the fighting was going, it was from both sides. It was striking oriented fights, and there were more obviously. First time there was I think it was the first round when Piotr did like the first significant counter with the right, like the right cross, and Merab felt like okay that was a hard one, and then he tried to go for a takedown, and then was also the first time where he real like he failed, and then he tried it the other times as well. But again, instead of how Merab would do it, just keep pressing, keep pressing, keep pressing. No, he would stand, get up, keep going in and fighting. Whoever people who say that Piotr didn't give him a chance at all, well, you don't know Merab's style. And actually, the last fight, that's how he won. Piotr tried to do striking. He tried to wrestle as well, but Merab would just push him and push him and push, and he won decision. But that's not how the champ's supposed to fight anymore. So people who say that Merab didn't intentionally do striking, you like have you seen his striking before and now? That was ritually well prepared striking position. He was jabbing off well. He was actually thrown and landed more jabs than Piotr Jan. The point is, that was a high volume striking, and it doesn't work exactly with in wrestling. In striking, you don't want to waste your energy unnecessarily, especially if your opponent is an experienced, great striker who is a calculating, strategical striker. And that was one of the factors. That was a lot of value, but with that kind of style, Merab would never knock out Piotr Jan. Piotr Jan definitely applied such damage. He could. There were, and he was going for that rib cage. But on the other hand, Merab was tough enough to not get knocked out. Essentially, to me, it was a beautiful fight with Piotr Jan winning fair and square. Piotr takedown defense was immaculate, 100%. People say Islam is boring, but Merab game plan looked boring to me. I hear no one complaining. Ironic. Well, it's a little bit funny. I First of all, I disagree with the first one. People say Islam is boring. I mean, I agree that some people say that, but I disagree with that statement. I think Islam is very good for mixed martial artist. I enjoy watching him. Yes, he goes, but even his grappling slash wrestling is super active, dominating. Well, I was saying before that when it comes to too much of the hagging and inactivity on the ground, that's I think referees need to start breaking it off more often if it goes too far. Doesn't matter if it's Merab, Islam, or anyone. I'm just talking about regarding sport. But Islam is a great counter striker. He's great at the distance control, super fast, super reactive. Like he has good timing. So I don't understand people's hate on Islam being boring. He's probably one of the most entertaining fights, at least out of the Pakistani fighters. But when it comes to like Merab, people not complaining about Merab being boring, that is also not true. Have you seen internet? People literally been mocking Merab being a decision machine, and he just pushes them with their cardio, this and that, and yada yada yada. Well, you see, it was enough. It was just enough for a person, in this case Piotr Jan, to train up their cardio, their takedown defense, even improve their striking game as well, despite him being a great striker from the first place. And here we go. He definitely won this fight fair and square. But I also cannot say that Merab was a big champion or something. He literally that was from both sides. They created a beautiful, quite entertaining fight, and that was probably one of the most entertaining fights in the Merab's career, despite losing. Piotr Young hurt him a few times. Oh yeah, 100%. Merab needs to train if he wants to keep getting better at striking. His jabbing is getting better, and jab doesn't have to be super hard. I mean, stiff jabs are obviously better you get it. Jab can be quite damaging as well, but jab can be more volume puncher. But jab is for setting up that right cross, for example, or hook, whatever. Also, if you do like in MMA, very frequently works. You do jab, cross, and hook as the most damaging one. So you just do this 1-2, and you set up that 1-2 for landing that hook a little bit from the closer distance, right? So Merab needs to start working on the accuracy and the timing of the striking. Now we see his movement and striking, and his volume. Like he has a good cardio anyways. His volume is going to be high, and his pace is going to be high. That is good for him, but it doesn't work against someone who is like Piotr Young, who stepped up his endurance, who basically countered all of the Merab's rest of the parts of his game. So striking wise, also he just left significant more damage. So that's why I think Merab needs to work on top of everything. He needs to rest in the first place. Okay, he needs to rest, recover, just enjoy life, just relax, and then he needs to really focus heavily on boxing, striking timing, and calculating and train like a setup combos, not just throwing combos, not just like kind of improvising, but having some setup strategies. Okay, I'm keep scrolling up, guys. Regarding, well, some people say that Jan dominated fully, fully dominated Merab because he countered everything that Merab had. Well, if you that mean if we just take that statement that did Piotr Jan counted pretty much everything on Merab's side? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Piotr Jan didn't have any gaps in this match. He didn't have any gaps, no mistakes. It was perfect performance from Piotr Jan. Well, maybe a little bit he was swallowing a little bit too many jabs. That's it. That's it. But it was he probably felt that I was not that much of the damaging jabs anyways. That's why you could see he didn't have any like significant. He was just starting swelling a little bit, no, but not too much. So those were not that hard of the jab. There were some moments that Merab was catching him well on the jab, but basically, yeah, Piotr Jan's game was pretty much flawless. Okay. Let them fight how they fight. If they wrestle, let them wrestle. If they strike, let them strike. Well, I mean, the problem is not with the athletes and trying to do this or that. The different sports already exist for a reason, and they have big fan bases, anyways. It's about UFC, and they want to be big. Dana White says you want MMA and slash UFC be as big as boxing. If you mention boxing in front of a 5-year old, they're gonna know what this boxing is. Boom, boom, boom. Like you like throwing punches. Wrestling, same. Judo. Like there's certain sport that established themselves that pretty much everyone knows, even if they have no idea what it is about. Well, when you say someone mixed martial arts and then a UFC, people are still like, huh, what? What? Like there are a lot of people who don't know it. So for them to make it as big as possible, they also want it to be as entertaining as possible for the casual fans. Well, like it or not, but what is the biggest audience there is that is unexplored? That is a casual audience. They're not really into sport, but they want to get them in for because it's entertaining, right? So that's what I'm talking about. That's why there is a thing. I think there might be some changes regarding that. I don't know. We shall see in the future. Yeah, Gabby, go to sleep. That's quite late, so I appreciate you being here. But yeah, sleep is the most important thing. I hate when someone when now you complain about the rules. I didn't complain about rules this time at all. I was I was commenting regarding the rules, how to possibly make it more entertaining, about breaking off the uh, um, take like when it's the ground game, when it's the activity stops, that kind of stuff, and unless the opponent step up themselves, just in that case. But otherwise, yeah, I don't have any complaints. I can watch it the way it is. I'll be honest. But people ask me about the entertainment and what others think, and I usually say most likely what other people say. Okay, I'm keep scrolling up, guys. Ha, Nina curse. Oh man. Well, well, Pereira won though. He's been. I think he spends the most time with Nina drama, but essentially he won against Ankalaev. You're a real woman. If it's a question, yes, I am. Ilya or Islam? Well, uh, Islam with the advantage in 170 pounds in welterweight. In lightweight, I would pick Ilya. They're both well rounded, both strong on the wrestling and striking, but with slight advantages. I think Ilya has an advantage in this aggressive, calculated striking and strong chin. When in the wrestling, Ilya also knows how to wrestle. He's black belt in BJJ, but Islam is one of the best wrestlers and BJJ combined, like one of the best in the UFC at the moment. So he would have an advantage in that one, but the weight classes also matter because the muscle mass and the weight. When you do the weight cut, you also stack up a certain amount in 24 48 hours. At Islam, he's getting now appointed to welterweight. He's probably going to gain more of muscle mass, and it's going to make him crazy. And Ilya is already smaller than Islam, so he would have to stack up twice as much muscle mass as like Islam does, and it's not a fast process unless you do it without the. Unless you do it with steroids, which is always the gray area. But obviously, some athletes, I'm not saying everyone, they do cycle in, cycle out, and then they get clean and they don't get test. They don't get caught on the test. But yeah, it's a tricky one. I would choose the catch weight. Catch weight would be kind of like equalizing. So Islam has to cut a little bit more, and Ilya has to stack up a certain amount of muscle. But can go either way to me. I think it can go either way. Though with Ilya's late divorce thing, man, just give that guy time to figure that out. Like people and casuals can say that he's done, but it is what it is. Like family matters are the biggest thing that affects anyone, right? Especially an athlete. Especially when you're a champion and your wife tries to take away your daughter, or and you have to fight for the custody. That's not fun, right? So Ilya is out of the picture for a while. Islam has to face welterweights, and I think Shavkat and Michael Morales are interesting ones. Like Islam's gonna have to deal with those. And in the lightweight, we have Arman Sarukian's being punished definitely. Like it or not, but he's kind of being punished by UFC and by Dana. Um, but we shall see. There's probably now we have Patty versus KG. Whoever wins rather fights Arman, or maybe Ilya comes back by the time and they fight Ilya, and then it might be Ilya versus Sarukian. So we shall see. We shall see how all of that goes. Boxing is a dying sport. Guys, only MMA fight. MMA fans or UFC fans specifically think that way, but there are a lot of UFC fans who also watch boxing, and you have no idea how many people watch boxing still. Like it's older sport. You can check the audiences and you will see yourself. I'm not saying that MMA and slash UFC not won't outperform boxing or any other sport at some point, but well, the biggest sport in the world. Yeah, okay. Which is the biggest sport in the world? Respond to me. Give me the answer to that question. Not you, Diana. The fans, Diana. Not you. You, then fans, Diana. They complain about the rules, like they changed. Complaining about the rules by just to use excuse. That's I understand. That sucks. Just to excuse someone winning or losing because of there is rules. No, you gotta be like there is a fact. Wrestling is more dominating in MMA. Period. Well, then just have that strong wrestling. Then go heavy on the wrestling, despite who you are, where you come from, and then level up your striking. So when you have equally or close enough good wrestling, then you can have a moment where you can get an advantage in striking. It's very simple. We're talking about generally mixed martial artists, and you cannot oppose BJJ only BJJ against wrestling either. Like Greco-Roman slash freestyle wrestling is the dominant type of grappling. Which you can have some judo elements, and BJJ is great plus if you have both like a defensive grappling Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and you have offensive grappling any type of wrestling, then you have a whole ground game where like you can have it even if you don't use it as the primarily and you still rely on striking. At least you have this pillow and the safety cushion. As in someone who watches mixed martial arts for mixed martial arts or for breaking it down in separate martial arts, I don't really have necessarily a problem. There are some fights where sometimes we're like, well, that was a pure wrestling match, like Hamzat versus DDP was a pure wrestling match. Not complaining. Let don't take it as a complaint, but it was right. So, but generally, it is not that much of a problem to me. But again, UFC is now getting all about the entertainment and this and that, and well, then they cannot demand from athletes to change their games and wrestlers. Oh, now you cannot wrestle that much. They cannot do that just by asking from the athletes. Athletes gonna do what's best for them for the win. That is somehow manageable is a certain changes in the rules in UFC. And throughout the history of Ultimate Fighter Championships, they were different. The rules been changing, so there is nothing wrong about changing some rules. Yeah, people might not like it, or opposite, they might like it at that point. But it's just that is the responsibility of the organization itself. That's all I'm saying when it comes to you. Does UFC wants more entertainment? Well, it's their responsibility to find a way how to make it more entertaining. And so no hate against the fighters and athletes specifically. Okay, I'm keep scrolling up, guys. Jan is cursed with this draws, and I feel he won. Yeah, I felt he won. That he won too. I think there's like 10-8 in the second round because Guskov took like that massive knockdown, and then Jan was surviving. But that was indicate on his super big experience. He also had a split. I think he was a split decision loss against Alex Pereira. Like that guy, Jan Lashovic is tough man, and he's experienced, very good mixed martial artist. And I think that is that his second draw within the last 5 fights or something. And yeah, I think he won against Cusco. Was it could be given to Jan in my opinion. First round and third round was clearly his. Again, total point wise, the second round was kind of quite dominating from Guskov's part, but yeah, I mean, to me, it feels like Jan won as well. Van was wrong for celebrating like that. I kind of thought about it as well. I don't blame him by like kind of not being able to control it because all of a sudden now I'm champion and I can just get like a title defenses and this and that. I think he's gonna lose against the Tatsura Ataira. I think he loses against the Japanese boy. But yeah, it was a little bit too much. Like in my case, like I would be like, I wanted a good fight, and it's so sad. And I wish like Pantoja a quick recovery. I would just focus on that. And I was like, okay, this is what it is. I'll do my best to kind of prove that I deserve this spot. He was a little bit too celebrated for nothing. I'm in Vietnam, the Chang, by the way. What about young Gary? I don't think young Gary has any chances against Islam Makhachev. He says he comes to Georgia for 2 3 months, but no, you don't have like fighters need to start going through a full size wrestling camps with the Greco-Roman wrestlers for like entire year, not just for few 3 months before the fight or something. Arman got stiffed again by the UFC. Yeah, no, apparently there is a beef between him and Dana, 100%. Um, yeah, I don't know. Well, he's definitely going to fight at some point, 100%. It's not going to be just left like that. But yeah, they're just kind of stretching it out as much as possible. Boxing is boring, bro. Only casuals say that. Boxers or people who who understand boxing, it's almost like playing a chess. I understand play like a chess game could be boring to you, which is fine, but boxing is like watching a chess game. No disrespect, but you kind of look like the poison ivy from Batman minus the green skin. No disrespect, thank you. I think she's a cool villain. First time in your stream, what do you do in your stream? Talking about UFC 323 today. Usually doing my boxing trainings and live streaming that as well. A little bit singing and some karaoke hosting as an entertainment part of the channel. Hey, thank you for super chat donations. Merab humbled crybaby Umar, cry more Dagestani. Well, we can't take that away from Merab. And did you see the difference? Did you see the difference how Merab took the loss as a champion and how Umar took the loss? Like Umar was, oh, I think I won. I need to rewatch the fight. Oh, my God, my hand got broke in the first round. It's like literally like crying. Again, if he didn't do that, I wouldn't have any problem. But yeah, like that was the most ridiculous, like crying right in the microphone. And okay, Merab lost today. He lost today, first time in many years, like more than 10 years now, and he completely gave it to gave it to Piotr Jan. He said that Piotr Jan, he doesn't want to lose. Judas Piotr Jan was the better fighter today, and he wants a rematch. Obviously, that as simple as that. When you lose, even if it's not so, even if it's unfair that you lost, even if you feel like it's unfair, you're like, you know what? I'm not gonna say anything like that. If because sometimes there are like people being stripped, and even in that case, don't cry about it, Mike. Just say that, you know what? I'm gonna leave it to people and to people to decide who actually won. But when you actually lose, and in a close fight, and you know that like it was a close, good fight, and you felt the advantage of your opponent, don't cry about it. Just don't say any excuses. Just give them that credit. And I appreciated Piotr Jan also acknowledging Merab's and Aljamain Sterling's team and saying that it's a super strong team and he wants to give them the credit. Jan looked outstanding. No, he did great, and he basically didn't have any flaws. In my opinion, he didn't have any game flaws on this one. That was a perfect performance, and they prepared well for Merab. And it's not easy to prepare for Merab. That was proven by many other fights. So Piotr Jan is the new champ. Now I'm excited to see what's gonna be the Merab's and his team's next steps. For sure, Van's first defense is a lose no experience. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he didn't really win like a really strong contenders either. He kind of like I haven't looked at his history that much, but how he got there, it's a little bit mystery to me as well. Are you involved in MMA, apartment house, wrestling, or any else? I'm doing boxing, and I'm getting ready, building up my game to compete professional in boxing, not MMA. So MMA, I'm just watching. It's just something that is also my subscribers, the people who watch me, are interested in, and it's more just commentary, breaking it down. I did some other martial arts, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I did karate before boxing. I did some generic MMA training, boxing, and freestyle wrestling with my friends. There was a period in my life where we just like gather together in the gyms, in usually MMA gyms, and do different type of trainings. So I kind of have enough experience training all of those styles to just be able to enjoy and analyze MMA. Plus, on the top of it, I'm trainer myself. I'm coach, physical preparation, resistance training, cardiovascular development. I'm very heavily following the science behind those things. So those factors on the top of the different martial arts kind of help me understand in my right how do they affect. That's why like I've been talking about stamina, the VO2 max development, different types of cardios like pacing cardio like endurance athletes do, for example, and explosive type of cardio or interval cardios like which is closer to martial arts. So yeah, I mean I've been just breaking down those things, and yeah, looking growing my channel, and hoping one day it becomes quite big. For people who say Jan win and Merab is gone or Merab is done, I'll just do it vice versa. When Merab won, everyone thought Jan is done. See what he did? That might be actually a cool rivalry. If Merab comes back and wins again, like remember Adesanya versus Pereira rivalry? That was a cool one. That was people was waiting for that. Can become something close to that. So don't put Merab in the box yet. He's gonna be back, but he needs to rest first. Like Merab needs to, and his team need to focus on more recovery. Like he needs that recovery. His body, he's not getting younger. So if they actually want to come back stronger, better, two things: recovery, obviously training everything else after some period of rest, and uh, calculative strategic boxing. Throwing valiant punches, actually learning how to throw hard damaging punches, and learning how to set up like that, those combos like with you can jab off, you can jab to the stomach, and then you do 1-2, and you do, for example, 1-2 left hook. So there are certain combos with the power accent on the certain punches. Usually it's the cross, for example, or the front hook as the third punch. Or again, that can be a different type of combos. Okay, keep scrolling up. First time in my first time for me in your life. Oh, great! Welcome. Good to see you here. Georgian power, laughing emoji, and definitely Muhammad. Like it's like Muhammad hates Georgians. I can tell you that Muhammad. I knew that before looking at the name. I already knew that it was Muhammad. No offense to other Muhammads, but guys, come on. Man, I wanted Merab to win, but Jan is striking and he's escaping every grappling. Merab just made him the champ. Great fight. Well, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Petr Jan's preparation was flawless. Merab's attempt actually doing a striking and his involvement in the boxing was definitely As a boxer, I can tell you, he evolved in boxing. Like that's like drastic improvement. But that was a risky take, which I respect and appreciated. But that partially also cost him because against Peltrian, and then when he tried to go on the safer game, tried to get some points and control time. Well, here he saw that Peltrian was prepared against that too. So again, Peltrian was fully well prepared. Merab, however, showed a great um, step up in the striking. Period. The one thing he just needs to focus in is more accurate striking and more calculated striking, more powerful to actually being able to knock out opponents. It's not about natural power; it's about learning how to generate that power, and that you can learn that. So I think his team might focus on that. I'm in a coffee shop like outside, and there are some cars, and there's like a coast, a beachy there. Why did Merab lose though? Well, the first thing I already mentioned, he chose a high volume, high pace boxing with the lower damage potential against the Piotr Jans, who is a great boxer. Calculated, lower pace, lower volume, calculated, but more damaging striking. Not only boxing, striking. And you could see Murab got some significant damages in his rib cage and his facial area. Second thing is obviously the fourth crazy weight cut, basically being entire year in the fighting camp because you need to stream us to the fighting camp like an active fighting camp anyways, and he's been fighting once in 2 3 years. Yeah, like he's been fighting in 3 4 months this year. So he imagine he didn't rest much at all. That is also a very big factor. I'm not using it as an excuse. I don't think there is an excuse for him. I think there's just his mistakes, and there's nothing wrong about pointing out the mistakes in the game or in the preparation or in the strategy. In the Peltrian's case, he took his time, came back with the perfect preparation, flawless. Yeah, and the only thing I mentioned, jabs. Jabbing, he was swallowing quite a lot of Merab's jabs, but again, apparently they didn't do any damage. That's important part. So sometimes you just get hit and you take that punch so you can do countering or you're in close enough distance to do something else, so that cannot be counted as the flaw necessarily. What miss you should start online martial art teaching. I mean, I cannot teach you how to wrestle or BJJ. I'm not qualified for that, but I do that with boxing already, kind of. So I do my trainings, but I always teach. I always show certain things as well. The young blood. I heard. I mean, he's very charismatic. Some of his songs are cool. I mean, yeah, he has a solid voice. Yeah, I guess. The only reason Merab was good is that because of his cardio and good wrestling, his striking is terrible and he got full out plus because his cardio and takedowns Pam didn't work. Fully outclassed. No, it wasn't like Merab did to Umar. That was a close S fight. And if you're saying that Merab didn't level up in his striking, that you're a casual. And as a boxer, I can tell you, even his stance and positioning got way better. You can rewatch some of his older fights, and now, like before, he would just go like this, sometimes just to go for a takedown. That's what Merab would do, and he would rely on his cardio and wrestling. Now he was literally standing and jabbing and jabbing and jabbing. The problem is he was just doing volume jab. They didn't really work enough, or there was not enough time to work on accuracy, the damage, like the power punch, and the setting up thing, more like kickboxing strategy, like Piotr Jan was doing. Obviously, he also using kicks, but the principle is kind of similar. So I can't agree with you. That's a little bit of casual take. I don't mean to insult anyone, but saying that his stance is horrible now. There is a massive step up in his striking game since he actually won against Piotr Jan the first time. Go rewatch those fights and then come back and tell me that there is no improvement and there was not a good striking change. Just with more volume and more strong punches generally from the Merab side and more like high pace, which also worked him off. Like that was a little miscalculation on his side and perfect timing and perfect countering on the Piotr Jan side. And obviously throwing those damaging shots. Okay, and keep scrolling up, guys. Thanks for being here. I'm not Brazilian, but I'm also set for Pantoja. Yeah, I was super like actually Mirab's fight. I was not like actually like emotional or crying. I was just like, well, I mean, Piotr won. I was proud of Merab trying to take that risk, do the striking, actually doing it quite well for considering that his striking wasn't good a few years ago. It was, and I appreciated and respected him trying to evolve his game. But with Padoja, I was like, no! I literally yelled, no, in that coffee shop. People were like, oh, what's going on? It's like, and there is the other person was watching it as we looked at each other. It was like, come on. It was super frustrating. I hope he recovers soon, but that kind of injury takes time to heal. He's going to need the surgery. I think he's a year out, at least. Beautiful. Thank you. Elias probably has the crispiest boxing. Yeah, and I mean him and his brother are having similar boxing. Alexander using more Philishel too, and might be even better technically. But Ilya, from the other hand, has that power. He knows how to power punch. So, like when it comes to boxing, I know Ilya goes through the stuff, but Georgian fighters are close with each other. So if Merab could train with Alexandra at least, or Ilya, or both, if they're like could help him to step up his, like teach him more of the calculated and accurate, powerful punching, sort of like that kind of boxing, that would be a good step up, like another level, another step up for Merab, because if he already was managing to do the exchanges with Piotr Jan, who's basically one of the best strikers there, and like doing that, and he was good, he was doing well against Korisenko, who's also a great striker. I think he can actually do well. I believe Merab's going to be come back, and you might think that I'm wrong, but I believe in Merab. Okay, I'm keep scrolling up. Okay. Merab is gone. You still have Ilya. LOL. He's better than Merab anyway. Breezy. I'll respond to it like I responded before. After Merab won against Piotr Jan, everyone was saying that Piotr Jan is gone, but he's back and he did brilliant this time. So I see a trilogy, but not soon. Merab needs to rest, recover, step up some of his game, focus more on striking, and that specific thing, getting more damaging. Because with that type of striking, he proved that he can hold and he can strike for 25 rounds. He can, but and throw a high volume punches. But with that kind of striking, he couldn't knock out Piotr Jan. That no way. So we shall see. I do believe his team knows what to work on. And again, great job to Piotr Jan for the step up in his ground game, in his takedown defenses. Physically, he was looking way stronger, way crisp. Striking, obviously, he's one of the best. In general, he's one of the best well-rounded fighters, even before Merab. It just at some point he just flushed Merab, and there was a big cardio difference. But then you can see he worked up his cardio, his pacing. Um, Again, yeah, it is what it is. And Merab, if Merab chose to just do the most boring thing and just keep him pushing and pushing, I believe that within the five rounds he would break his takedown defense. If he didn't strike at all, he would just keep wrestle and wrestle and wrestle, and this one takedown, get up, and then another takedown. I still believe it would be kind of a win, but at the championship level, I preferred Merab to lose the weight he lost rather to do the thing that the way he won against Portugal in the first one. Okay, so that's my take. Ilya is in trouble with the Arman. I don't think Ilya. I think Arman is the biggest competition for Ilya in the lightweight, but I think Ilya is better generally. He has a better resume. They both are good wrestlers. What Arman is ending up in a guillotine position where, like, even Dan Hooker is kind of obviously he doesn't know how to do it, but he almost got choked up by Charles Oliveira. No, man, not really. I and power wise, Ilya is more like he's definitely putting Arman at the risk of the knockout. So I can tell they're also not that much big of the different size. Like for him, yeah, like they're Arman is slightly taller or something. I think Ilya is a little bit shorter, but I think it's still Ilya got Arman. Piotr. Piotr. I'm pronouncing it more like a Russian word. Piotr. Piotr. I don't know how you Piotr, but it's like uh, in Russian there is actually a letter. It's called soft sign. Soft sign. Мягкий знак. So it makes after if you put it after any letter, it makes it softer. So without the soft sign, it would be Piotr, but with the soft sign, it's Piotr. So we're not saying Piotr. Russians, they don't say Piotr. They don't need two letters. They just say Piotr. Piotr, yeah. You look like Scarlett. Appreciate it. Thanks. Being told that. Honestly, if you rewatch, Piotr was guessing in the round three, but he's a second win round four. Well, Piotr, from the very beginning, actually, out of all those fights and those elite level winning streak that Merab had, I think Jan actually gave one of the hardest hardest fights to Merab. But the point is, Merab wasn't getting tired at all because that was just his comfortable pace. But when it comes to wrestling, he just trains that way, and he just keeps training that way, and he's always gonna train that way. So that's why I'm saying that even if Piotr had a better stamina this time, if Merab would just keep putting him down, he would get up. Then again, I still think that Merab pull off this type of win. But again, they showed us different fight. Piotr Jan was prepared for basically everything. He was like, okay, we go here, I'm ready for that. We go there, I'm ready for that. I'm not sure if he expected him to be that much in striking as well, but that's also comfortable for Piotr. He was definitely getting jabs, but since he realized they weren't that damaging, there were a couple in the first punches. There were some slick punches from Merab too. It was catching him. It was the elbow, there was hook there. That's why Piotr was a little bit careful in striking as well, and that's why it was a good exchange as well. But then, as an experienced striker, he was started seeing gaps, and he would use it, and then all of a sudden, that the right side body shot, body kick, that was very accurately landed. And then from that point, Merab was literally in pain. Before that, he was getting obviously countered by Rian as well, so his nose started bleeding. Pretty much was it first or second round, but that the body shot was the one that was the one of the most significant one that gave even bigger confidence to Piotr. And despite that, Merab was still countering. And some punches were just still exchanging. If you rewatch that fight anytime, despite the difference in the accuracy and damage from Piotr's side, and obviously cardio wise, you could see that both were getting tired a little bit slower. But it was like none of them were giving up, and well, obviously Merab wasn't giving up till the end. So yeah, all I'm saying is that he played a risky game. He had to pay for it, but I absolutely love it. I absolutely respect it. I love seeing the direction where the Merab is evolving, and I mean, huge respect. Like when you have that growing respect towards someone. Well, I had that type of respect towards Piotr Jan as the fighter, that he was like, yeah, I want that rematch. I want that redemption. I want to come back, and he did. He did with the solid, real preparation. I have to disagree with the resume part. Has a better one, and I think he he beats him easy. Okay, we can agree to disagree on that one, and we shall see once that one gets close. But there is not really point, because that's not happening. Ilya is not coming back at least until the first quarter of the next year, meaning the March. So guys, we gotta focus on let's see what Patty Himblett has got. Let's see, because that boy being hyped up, he's Dana White's star boy, 100%. I mean, he's marketable. He's from UK. He has a mouth. Um, he has a beef pretty much with with Ilya and with Arman, and with like, so it's gonna be interesting to put him against both of those guys. Um, Now it's a interim title shot. Let's see if he can beat Gagey. I mean, Gagey is past his prime, but it's still, I mean, if he can beat Gagey, that means that there is, something. We shall see. He might have something to offer to us. But then it has to be Arman Sarukian. Like, Arman has to be able to fight. I see Arman being an interim champion, or maybe somehow Patty, and then Ilya. Like, Ilya is the undisputed champion. That would be the something that would make the most sense. Be respectful of the chat. Matt says. You pronounce perfect, almost like a Russian. But he got out from the Charles choke. We have respect Arman for that. I, I can't disagree with it, but at the same time, we can see him getting there in few occasions, because that happens every now and then. But there is
Well, he was getting there with the Dan Hooker in the last fight too, and that was a little bit surprising because Dan Hooker is not even a wrestler or a grappler generally. Um, and well, that's the thing, the preparation. There is not like the fight is not, as people think, an improvisation. Yes, and it becomes at some point, but it has to do a lot with pre uh, the period, the preparation of period before the fight. Like Elia's been saying that I don't understand how, like, Holloway, for example, wasn't ever knocked out. Like, I understand how. Like, I see those gaps, and well, they've been analyzing it, training it, and boom, he just knocks out Max Holloway. I mean, it's just so interesting that no one ever did it. He was the first one who did it. So I think Tapurias and their team, and the fact that Ilya has his brother, I think his brother is quite a big brains actually when it comes to fighting and coaching. And now he's also coming up there in the bantamweight. We're going to be interesting to see how he does in the future. But they're quite a high class, and they probably have one of the most cleanest, sleek, crisp, not only boxing, I would say wrestling too. It's just Ilya is not really using his wrestling; he's using it just for defensive. But he actually is both Taporias are Greco-Roman wrestlers and black belts in BJJ. I think both of them. Alexander, from the other hand, he using suplexes, and he already demonstrated quite a cool wrestling elements in two of his fights in UFC. So I don't know. Arman is, from the other hand, is a tough, great fighter. No, again, I'm not downgrading him, but saying that Arman wins easy against Ilya Tapuria, at the very least, that fight's not going to be easy. And even for Ilya, it might be the harder fight comparing to others that he had. Well, he did. He attempted less takedowns. One of the reasons because Piotr Jan was doing well. But from the other hand, is, as I said, if Merab really wanted to just go wrestling, like play safe, obviously that would be a lot of booing, a lot of this and that. But he could win if he wanted to. I think. I'm not saying like, oh, Piotr. I'm not downgrading Piotr Jan, but I'm talking about value wise. But then he was, you notice a lot of times, instead of just keep hugging and just hugging and holding the leg and holding him against the cage or doing something stupid, he was going back and keep striking. I think Merab was enduring Piotr Jan's striking quite well. And in the beginning, like the jabs were landing, and they were like, it was basically first time for Merab to have an actual exchange, mostly in the striking. There were knees, a little bit of elbows, there were low kicks, there were body shots from the Piotr Jan. I think there was a couple body shots from the Merab, but they didn't really land that well. Accuracy wise, obviously Piotr was better, but I think that was quite a good striking step up for Merab, going hand to hand with the slightly being behind against one of the best strikers in the bantamweight generally. That wasn't it wasn't someone who is not a good striker. That was Piotr goddamn Jan. So I don't know. People be shitting on Merab now the way that he's like, oh, he didn't have like. I think he did well. He did well. The plan was to make it more entertaining. The goal was achieved. The only thing, it cost him the win. But I love his attitude that he's like, well, I'm happy that people like the fight. I think Merab was a little bit tired also hearing that he's boring and his fights like he's only hugging and this stuff like that. I think he was genuinely happy about making a basically fight of the night, and he gave a credit to Piotr Jan with no excuses. So I don't see anything controversial here. Merab will be back. Don't worry. He's the machine. I mean, I think he will be back too. The machine just needs a little rest. I already said about this something, and I'm not going to repeat it. It's a long answer. It's 50-50 to me, but it really depends in the weight class because it's due to a slight advantages in different aspects of the fight as the both super well-rounded fighters, and also the physical preparation, stacking up that muscle, doing the water cut, then stacking and then regaining the weight back within 24 47 sorry 48 hours before the fight. Islam, when it comes to the weight, Islam's going to have more advantage. The higher weight it goes, the more advantage Islam's going to have. But yeah, so for Yuli, it's going to be harder to stack up that weight. It take longer time, this and that, and what he's a little bit out of the picture right now. Anyways, he's dealing with some legal stuff with his divorce. Yeah, technically, Petrian is one of the most well-rounded fighters. I cannot tell you that uh, he's not better than Merab, 100%. Merab, however, had having a huge step up in his general MMA game. I think his technique got better, and his striking like was better. There's massive step up in his in his striking, but also because Petr Yan is a good striker, he also knows very well how to pace himself in the striking. That's why there was low volume, less volume in his, like, he was throwing basically less punches, but he was way more accurate in landing strikes and causing more damage. When Merab was relying, he was doing same as he would do with wrestling: throw down, get up, throw down again. Well, in striking, it doesn't work exactly that way. There is an actual thing: you can wear yourself off by just throwing more punches that don't land. Like in boxing, okay, you might do that, and you just do it for entire thing, and essentially, if you don't get knocked out, you just win by points. In MMA, that's not the best strategy. There is no, it's not necessary to have such a high pace and high volume, but compromising on the damaging factor. So obviously Piotr is one more experienced, technically better in that thing. But despite those mistakes from the Merab side, it was good, close, entertaining fight, mostly in a sense. I think both of them deserve the credit. Piotr Yan deserves the credit for becoming a champ, his redemption, absolutely figuring out, Merab's cardio partially, because that was not wrestling, okay? That was striking. It was something new for Merab too. But again, still cardio, takedowns, well, obviously just adapting to the game. It was flawless from Piotr's side, and he won fair and square. On the other hand, Merab, shout out for him for risking, for trying to get better at striking, put himself in the position that pushing more on striking. All of that, essentially, boss, that resulted in for those two granting us a great fight. Only respect. Okay, I'm keep scrolling up, guys. Don't you think Joshua Van really dominated that fight, or he just got lucky? Are you talking about Joshua Van? Like, it was literally first less than a minute or a minute of the first round. Pantoja just jumped on the high kick and he just landed. Unfortunately, what are you talking about? We didn't see anything in this fight, and I don't think Van is winning against Tyra. I don't think he's winning against Tatsuro Tyra. He's not winning. I think so. I almost certain that the Japanese guy is gonna. It might be a good fight, but I have a feeling that based on the skill base, what I've seen from both, the Japanese boy gonna win. Is Arman deserve title fight? well, technically he's supposed to be a number one contender, but UFC has been punishing him for different reasons. If, fair or not, I cannot tell you that. I mean, he's number one contender um, as a mixed martial artist, so he definitely, at least, okay, you do Patty versus Gagey, then at least after that, he has to fight for at least an interim title. With I still think, as much as I want Gagey to win, I think it's still gonna be Patty, uh, Patty who wins, probably via submission, and then Patty versus Armand, and that should be an entertaining fight because I think those two have a little beef. Patty is a loudmouth, so he's definitely calling him names and stuff. So yeah, and I think Tapuria is going to be after. Probably Arman wins with Patty, and then Turkian versus Ilya for as an interim champion versus undisputed champion. When once Ilya is back, that's or maybe opposite. That might be Ilya and Patty fight first, and then Turkian and Ilya have to fight. Yeah, be real with me here. Do you think Ilya beats Arman? Yes, absolutely. I think Ilya and Islam is a tricky one, but I think Ilya beats Arman like no problem. Like I actually think that he knocks him out. It's crazy. The Russia got four champions this year. I mean, I mean, I'm Georgian. I'm not going to congratulate Russia, okay? But I'm going to congratulate the athletes. They're from Russia. I mean, they deserve it. They won fair and square, so and they're here. But the thing is not over. I mean, Merab's going to be back. And Tapuria is still lightweight champion, and it's just a matter of time how all of that also stands. And someone was saying that, oh, are you going to keep watching even after if there is no champions from Georgia? Yes, I will. There's so many other fighters I like, and I'm not watching UFC because of Georgians specifically. It just happened to be that Georgian Merab was champion, and Ilya is a champion, so it's like two champions from a tiny country. I just like mixed martial arts, so I'm gonna keep watching and doing the commentary. BJJ or wrestling? I would take BJJ is defensive grappling. Wrestling is offensive grappling. So combine those two, and you have a great ground game for MMA. Arman and Piotr Jan are two. There is like one weight class in between, so don't think so. Congratulations, Piotr Jan. What a magnificent fight you put on. You destroyed the machine. Okay. Ahmad, of course, a Muslim. Well, first of all, there was a close fight. So I think they both did great. Piotr Jan flawless. Definitely, I agree with first part. Like, congratulations, Piotr Jan. What a magnificent fight you put on. That's I agree with. Murat, from the other hand, did something new and did something good against Piotr Jan's level. He did it quite well. It actually would be safer for Merab to kind of try to do the same maybe with Sam Hagen, pressing him and striking with him like that, um, rather than Jan, because Jan's being one of the best strikers in the division or deserved. But like when like Muslim fans, sorry guys, but sometimes, and it's funny because like there's some like the Russia and Dagestan, and and Piotr Jan is not even Muslim, but there's some Pakistani and like Afghanistan folks are just like, oh yeah, it's our people. No, they're not. Russians are not your people. Arman made a BS injury, so he wouldn't fight Islam. That's why he didn't get a title shot. Oh yeah, he's being punished for that, 100%. It's just the question is how long. I mean, he's there. He's number one contender anyway, so he kind of has to. They will need to make him fight anyways at some point for the title. Ilya need that one strike in whole fight, so it's hard to say that amount about Arman versus Ilya. Well, I don't think it's that hard. For example, with Islam, the reason I'm saying, like Islam has a crazy wrestling that would give hard time to Ilya because Ilya is also a wrestler, but again, size wise, and if he has more stacked up weight, muscle weight on the ground, Islam gonna be able to hold Ilya down easier compared to Malcolm Morales. Like I don't know how Islam's going to be able to hold even, and Malcolm Morales is also and actually naturally a wrestler and slash judoka as well. So it's the weights and size matters, even within the weight class. So Ilya wouldn't want to be on the ground in a welterweight with the Islam for too long. But from the other hand, uh, uh, striking wise as well, as much as Ilya knows how to go there, figure out, he's like they're very good at it, both to Purius. But Islam is one of the best counter strikers. Like I don't think people really understand how good he is at distance control. Like I've been watching, it's a solid distance control on the feet. So that's why I think for like Islam is a hard one for Ilya for sure. But like when it comes to Arman, like I don't like I seen if you remember the fight, it was in lightweight, Herbert versus Ilya, and it was long ago. Herbert almost TKO'd him with the high kick, head kick, and Ilya literally went down, but he recovered, got his leg, recovered the round. That was one of the craziest recoveries, maybe out of the many UFC fights. And then he knocks him out flat. He also showed that he has the chin, he has endurance because after that it was super high intensity round. And it's not like Ilya is not like Merab just throwing punches and some of them just sleep. No, every punch that Ilya loads is like basically a potential to, if it lands clearly, it's gonna knock you out flat. And that's what happened to Herbert. Did you see he was throwing like 1, 2, 3 combo something, and the last one got boom, like he just literally collapsed right on the spot. So like, and now Ilya is even better when it comes to that. So I just suggest you to rewatch both and think about why wouldn't Ilya be able to knock out not Islam, sorry, Arman. I'm not saying that Arman is easy win for him. No, I've been saying that in the lightweight, the hardest and the number one contender for Ilya Tapuria is Arman Tsarukyan, 100%. But at the same time, why do you think that Ilya cannot knock out Arman Tsarukyan? Not that one punch, every punch he throws, even his jabs are the ones, like his steep jabs are unpleasantly heavy. And even the fact when he sets it up, it's not like, oh, okay, it wasn't like with Jan and Merab when Jan realized that Merab's having high volume, but like a low, not as powerful punches. So he kind of can endure. That's not the case with Ilya. Other fighters would be knocked out by him, been saying that was probably one of the heaviest like knockouts that they experienced. Many people, including me, saw Merab as too dominant to lose because of this pressure, but there is always the puncher's chance. There is always a puncher's chance, but in this case, it wasn't the puncher's chance necessarily. I mean, not at all. it was a preparation. I mean, I'm not gonna take that from Piotr Jan. That was a very they broke down Merab's game, and they really prepared the countering material for it. So respect for that. But at the same time, Merab, I think he that was a close fight. The only thing would be amazing if Merab actually had also kept that pace as the Piotr Jan, a little bit lower pace, and actually was used to throwing more accurate, uh, pointing and powerful, damaging punches. And obviously, use some kicks, elbows, knees. Could be even closer, or maybe even go towards the. But again, that's experience wise. Piotr Jan is way more experienced and solid striking than Merab. Merab is at this older age, he's actually still learning, and I think he did a great job. While being a champion, he refused just being a boring champion. I think he's been trying his best to evolve his game and be more entertaining and make people and fans happy. And that's why I like Merab, apart from obviously him being Georgian. Do you think after Merab and Pantoja losing the belt, Islam will win the fight of the year? Islam deserves it. I think I would put, yeah. Why not? Islam as the fighter of the year could be easy. Jan is the best striker in division. Let's be honest. We know he won that fight with O'Malley, right? Yeah. Um, yeah, you can say that. And again, O'Malley. It's also O'Malley has more of he's blessed with the range, and he's tall for the division. He's skinny and tall. So as a boxer, I can tell you, the longer range boxers don't need that much of the technique. I mean, they need it, obviously, basic technique, but they don't need that sophisticated technique. They don't really need it unless they have someone at least their height. So for O'Malley, basically, yeah, like he could just jab it off and like could just be easy. But well, that's the thing. Piotr Jan is a high class, right? So that fight was, yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah. But yeah, no, also Piotr Jan proved that he was a champion for a reason. And now he proved that, oh, all of a sudden, he is the one who was a competition for Merab now. It's his second time. But it's exciting now. Let's see what Merab does, what his team does, like how they prepare for Piotr Jan. So all of a sudden, it makes division exciting, you know? It makes it exciting. It makes it more entertaining. And those kind of rivalries, they actually supposed to make the athletes, the fighters, better and step up their games constantly. Good night, Matt. Thanks for being here. What about liver kick? Oh, that was nasty. News versus Kyla, who you got? I don't know. I mean, depends how news. Again, speaking of Piotr Jan, depends how she prepared. Like I don't know. Depends on the preparation. She's having a little of the mat rust, obviously, but if she's prepared so well, she was legendary. She knocked out Cyborg at the point, Holly Holm, and well, she lost to Gina, but um, yeah, that was the only one. But she wasn't well prepared. I think she was kind of not really preparing for that one. Kyla, from the other hand, she's just a physically super strong, super powerful, well-rounded, strong grappling, and the grappling game dominates against wrestling. So I don't know. I will still pick Kyla because of that last factor. Okay, I'm just keep scrolling up. I'm Georgian. I'm Georgian, actually. Yes, I'm talking too much because you ask me sophisticated questions. 4 fights in a year is crazy. It shows Merab's strong mindset. He's coming back way stronger. Yeah, but he needs to rest, and everyone has the physical limits. I'm not a Russian, and Georgians are not really friends with Russians. I mean, on the personal level, of course, I'm partially Russian myself. My mom is half Russian, half Ukrainian. So I have some Russian and slash Slavic blood, and I have some Russian friends personally here and there. But I have a lot of international friends too. But yeah, India might be friends with Russian like government and politics. We are not. Jan is the fighter of the year. I wouldn't still put him. But that was, I mean, crazy victory. But I still put Islam on the number one at this point. No, I don't work out every day necessarily. When I say a close fight, that's actually a good point, OG. When I say close fight, I mean is that he has not been losing. Like you can lose the rounds, but it can be relatively close, and some of them were closer, some of them not. Definitely, that's why I'm saying that Piotr Jan. It was not close fight to the point that it was so controversial. Like it was like a 2 against 2, and this one last round was like no, not that type of close. Piotr Jan won fair and square, but there were moments, there were like kind of dangerous moments from both sides, especially in the early rounds. But in the later rounds, Piotr Jan even looked even better. You could see Merab getting damaged. You could see Merab having nose broken. He was gassing out from that high striking, high volume striking pace. That's the thing. It's different cardio, guys. There are different types of cardios. I'm telling you, as the physical preparation coach, there are different types of cardios. The boxing, like, and then pacing, and then like this type of cardio. And when you wrestle and you like have a little bit like high pace, but not that much of explosions, there are different types of cardio. But that's aside. That's what I meant as the close side. So it's not like it was complete. Jan destroyed Merab completely, but Jan was a better fighter. The, amongst two elite fighters with the two elite physical preparation, Merab stepping up his striking game 100%. From the other hand, Piotr Jan stepping up his takedown defense against Merab. Merab couldn't do much there, and he essentially just chose to keep pushing on the striking. That was interesting to see. It actually was interesting to see the roles being switched, and still striking wise, also obviously Piotr Jan is the as you said yourself, best striker in the division, in the bantamweight division, 100%. So he obviously outclassed Merab, even if it's a little bit, or it's like we can argue was a little bit or too much. He did way more calculating, more pacing, and strategic striking, which led to those significant strikes as the rib cage damage and the nosebleed and basically broken nose. So yeah, I mean Piotr Jan in this one, I can even say he outclassed Merab. Can we say he outclassed Merab? Yes. I gotta admit that. He did. Okay, keep scrolling up. I'm skipping some of the stuff. I just have my lips um, lipstick on. That's it. Okay. Yeah, I keep scrolling, guys, up. Why didn't it mean to for the takedowns? Well, the strategy was to do striking, and that to make more entertaining fights. I believe if Merab was just doing the boring stuff, like if he did this pretty much the same like he did in the first time they fight with Piotr Jan, he maybe would win. Maybe he could win because when you push and push, and Merab is used to that. Doesn't really he does takedowns. He doesn't hold you down, but he can do that many times. He can do 100 takedowns, like no problem. Maybe at some point he actually could wear off Piotr Jan because it just would be like nonstop for him getting up, back down. But the thing is, he was prepared for the takedowns. Don't get me wrong; he did a great job. Was also that would make it harder. But I'm just saying, if Merab would try to hold him against the cage, this and that, but he's a champion now. There is a difference from between Merab, how he used to be a few years ago when he was a contender and upcoming contender in the division, and a champion. A champion has to put a good, strong performance. And that's what I'm saying. Apart from Piotr Jan having an actually good takedown defense, that Merab was, actually, it doesn't really work. Let me get back to the stance. But he trained that stance. He was actually, their game was like, okay, now we're going to do a stand-up fight, which they did. And pace was a little bit too high for Merab, and the punches were not as hard. In the beginning, there were some good jabs. There were some landed punches. Piotr Jan was also careful with that. But then, as a more experienced striker, he was started finding gaps, and he landed some shots, like a rib cage to the nose, countering things. Essentially, he just and he showed it. He showed that Merab was in the position of survival. So basically, Piotr was winning, and Merab was not giving up. And it was a beautiful fight. I think it was a great fight with Piotr Jan winning fair and square, and with Merab, I'm just excited. I just want him to rest. I think he deserves to rest and see how because he's coming back 100%. People criticizing Islam for not fighting alone in a single year like Merab. There is a reason why Merab is so highly old looking in stage, bro. Also, weight cuts. Trust me, a lot of weight cuts. It's not only fighting itself; it's the weight cuts that is a problem, and constant training camps. So, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. The machine needs to rest and needs to slow down a little bit. That's 100% sure. Very competitive fight. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Maybe close fight. Maybe is the not the actual word, but very competitive fight. That's thanks for saying that, saying it that way. Champion inside of outside of the ring. I think both Piotr Jan and Merab actually prove that they're having a champion mentality and champion behavior at least in this fight. I appreciated Piotr. Sorry, I appreciated Piotr acknowledging Merab and his team, and I appreciated Merab acknowledging Piotr, giving him full credit for the victory, being a better fighter, and not finding any excuses. And yeah, Pantoja Singh was devastating. That's 100%. What about Cejudo and the Talpot? What's like? I mean, they just gave Cejudo for like, come on, that was such a big disparity, even in size. And people say size doesn't matter. No, it does. It does matter. But Cejudo put a good fight. Let me tell you that. I mean, he showed the experience and Kataryan Merab should earn this his way back to the title by rematching Omar Nurmagomedov. could be a thing. Whatever it is, I think Merab needs to rest first. Few months at least. I'm a boxer. I'm doing boxing. That's my primary style. But I tried some MMA, and me and my friends been watching MMA for quite some time. So I'm also physical. I'm trainer in the physical preparation, the cardiovascular health, that kind of stuff. So quite following on science on that, and putting all those factors together. MMA is like a perfect sport to watch and observe. Merab is the best example of work harder, not smarter. For the work he has put in, he has not earned 1% of what his potential was, and the dude looks 90 years old. Okay, we got that he looks like you don't like how he looks. The more importantly, it's about the performance. It's about the performance, and yeah, it shows that trying to defend your title 4 times a year is it definitely hits your health and your body. And yeah, I mean, I might rant and talk a little bit longer and respond a little bit longer in some comments, but be a little bit respectful. So if you don't like my yapping, you can just pass by. Sehuda is more of a fighter than a man than Tom. If you're talking about the eye poke, so-called, he kind of showed it. There was no eye poke. They replayed it. It was like this. There was no eye poke in Sehuda's case. In this case, and I mean, again, and come on, OG. Like I respect some of your opinions. It's been good, but no. Like if I get eye poke, I'm literally gonna take the glove, and shout the other person's ass, and not caring if it was an accident or not. The reason is because eyes is the one of the most vulnerable parts of your body. Second of all, even if there was not direct injury, what eyes can happen? First of all, you don't see. There is no way you recover that vision. It's gonna be blurry for entire fight, and even after a while, if the eyesight can recover, the damage and retinal damage can open up later on. So it doesn't happen necessarily straight away. And just because someone like a local doctor, a UFC doctor came out and said, "Oh, it's fine," they probably just looked at they usually look at the eyelids, not the eye. They cannot check the eye. They're not ophthalmologists. So I mean, a man has a kid and a wife and like a family, and just because of that nonsense thing and trying as a champion, when you have so much to lose, you go and you get more further with a gun. He would get more eye poke. He was already set up to lose. I understand if you're a contender and you fight, okay, you kind of go for it, you risk it. But if you are a champion and it's your first title defense and you get nasty double eye poke in both of your eyes, you cannot see, it's blurry, and you if you continue, you get probably more eye pokes, or even if you just get punched, it literally exposes you to basically potentially get blind, because as I said, it might not appear straight away, but it might create that just the retinal um, how you call that, the collapse, the tear just opens up, and you're done. You just don't see. And there were two eyes in the guy's case. So I mean, whoever says that he's not a man in this, I understand there was something else. I understand he would duck someone like John Jones were ducking Tom Aspinall all this time. Like you can call people names for that, but when such a nasty thing happens to someone, please at least research first. It's easy to be like me and you just sitting and talking about those things like nothing, when it's actually one of the nastiest injury. That's something. The bone, when you broke your bone, like when Anderson Silva broke his shin, full in, like split in half, that recovers. You put it in back, you wait for 6 months, it more or less recovers. Your eyes don't fucking recover. So sorry, OG. No disrespect, but that's one thing I like super disagree with you. You guys are so hypocrite. All of these people want Merab to lose so bad, and that's happened now. And all of a sudden, it's a good. Sudden is a good guy. Who is a good guy? Yeah. Sorry, you gotta clarify. Are you either telling me that or someone else in the chat? I mean, I'm Georgian myself, and I'm loving and supporting Merab, and I absolutely think that he stepped up a game in the striking. He risked it. He just for the entertainment's sake. Despite being champion, he could play it safe, but he's being doing his best to make it as entertaining as possible and be a good champ for people. So there are a lot of good things I'm being talking about Merab. From the other hand, I can take away his Piotr Jan's well-deserved win from him. He definitely showed up fully well prepared. So I don't know if there is any hate, yeah, in the chat, which I just some of it I just ignore because yeah, there's like bunch of casuals. No disrespect. I love fighting community. I mostly love UFC and mixed martial art and boxing and any other martial art fans. A lot of them have to say a lot of interesting things and they're making a lot of interesting points, but also there's so many casuals, unfortunately. I'm 25 years old. Nobody will do as Merab did. Nobody, even Piotr Jan, will fight every 2 years. Oh, meaning that that was no Merab. Yeah, I mean you can take away Merab like that. He's one of the best bantamweights in the history, even after this loss. Like Merab is my guy. He's from the same country. First of all, he's Georgian. Second of all, he proved he put the Georgia on the display. There's so many things he did, and he did in sports. He holds the biggest amount of the takedowns. Now it was the biggest attempt, the most frequent attempt of the title defenses. So yeah, like 100%. And he's been evolving his game. Like he paid the price for trying to do the super entertaining fight and actually not really being way too behind. As someone in the comments said very well, it was a very competitive fight against a naturally well-rounded MMA fighter who came back with the extra preparation and also one of the best strikers in the bantamweight. No one wanted Merab to lose. I just knew Peter was prepared. Okay, what do we have here? Size difference and the age gap he lost. I really don't understand why he came back from retirement. Who do we talk about right now? Hamzat used to fight a lot. Guys broke him. Merab fought a lot. Now you want to break like a Pereira and Adesanya. Let these guys rest. Even Connor himself. Okay, so I'm just saying that there's gonna be a rematch, 100%. And yes, definitely Merab has to rest. And well, there has to be a balance between title defenses. From one hand, we see that 4 title defenses is a lot, and it can get detrimental on the body. From the other hand, defending title once in 2 years, once in 3 years, even once a year is a little bit like twice a year could be optimal, right? So yeah, like just doing it once in 2 years, that's not okay either. That's just locks off the whole division. So it's about finding that balance there. Yeah, Hanimal. I mean that is not a bad point actually. Chimaev is out until the end of the next year. Tapuri is out until the March. Makhachev won't fight until March 2. What kind of champion is this? Fight every 2 years? Come on. Well, Makhachev you cannot blame. Um, he just fought recently. Okay, he fought the last event basically, became a welterweight champion. Him fighting next year in the March, and if he fights another time again, if he fights 2 times a year, that's actually okay. That's actually okay. Trying to fight like Merab, it unfortunately showed that it is so hard on the weight cuts. Like I understand you want the frequency, and there is no disrespect for Merab for the doing that frequency. It's more about concerns for his health. And to me, as a person promoting a longevity in sports, I will always promote a balance. As much as you want, like, oh, I always gonna criticize, like, sitting on the title and just not doing anything, but also going too much beyond your physical limits. Uh, Gotta be careful with that. I want Merab to be healthy, thriving. A lot of cuts and constant preparational stage can fuck it up metabolism, cause a lot of long-term injuries. So the point is that find the balance between being too much inactive and, well, as active as Merab showed to be this year, and actually ending up to because I think it was a big factor for him trying to do. That was one of the biggest factors for him to lose. That was one, and another one, obviously, he tried to do completely new game for him, which is full striking. I think he did so good for considering that that's relatively new for him. He stepped up it within a few fights, but again, it's still there is a way to go. I think his striking is going to get even better by the next time, and yeah, when he's going to be well rested and well recovered, imagine Merab at that point. Okay, I'm keep scrolling up, guys. Oh, my husband is here. There is no disrespect. It's just a passion in our viewpoint, and passion is right, Diana. Even if we agree to disagree. Yes, OG, absolutely, and that's why I pointed no disrespect. Even though that's one of the things I highly disagree with everyone who kind of mocks Tom Aspinall on that eye poke specifically. Again, there is no disrespect to you personally. It's just, as you said, the passion of the view. So respect to you, appreciate it, appreciate that you're on the same line here. Henry Cejudo showed heart and experience, but this fight made it clear that the timing is gone. After this lever being a fraction slower is the difference between winning and losing. But let's be honest, Cejudo is one of the smallest fighters in the entire UFC, and for that guy with such a small size is disadvantage. There is a styles adapted to it, getting it, but it's always harder. As a shorter fighter, as a shorter boxer, I can relate to that. But what he's managed to achieve, he's one of the he's gonna have to be a Hall of Famer of the UFC, 100%. And obviously the age factor plays too. But I think they fucking fed him to the Talpot, the Titan Talpot, which is a rising prospect, 27 years old and massive. He's massive for that weight class. He's like a 178. Yeah, another one is Sean O'Malley. I think it's a similar height, like a massive reach. So it was such a big disparity. And again, you cannot, it's same weight class, you cannot blame it. But these guys also stuck up the weight differently, and it's just like, yeah, it was a little bit unfair, I think, for him to do that last fight in the contract. I'm not sure if he's retired. He didn't put down his gloves, but I think that was the last contract fight for a while. So I don't know, man. I really, and considering even despite all these factors, Cejudo really, really put up the great fight. I mean, he had his moments and he did his best, 100%. I actually teared up on Cejudo after Cejudo's fight. Ironically, but Merab's fight didn't really cause, like, after the outcome, didn't cause that much of the like emotions like in the Cejudo after Cejudo's fight. Like I was tearing up after that one. Okay, Musa, you gotta stop spamming and writing the same stuff. Otherwise, I'm gonna just start timing you out. Okay, my husband is here. All I am saying is when Pereira and Pantoja will go, the UFC will be so boring and so fake. Well, I mean, again, that's the UFC's responsibility to start a little bit, maybe enforcing the rules, maybe actually not having the fighters, especially champions, as the like a free, uh, like in the free will defending titles whenever they want, but actually set the certain minimum. For example, twice a year is like a must go, or once a year is a must go at least. I don't know. Maybe UFC should do that. Okay. Jan almost has the identical record to Merab. First the fight crushed him. This time Jan was better prepared and won fairly. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I agree. Good gaming. She cannot marry Merab because it's bad for his health to steal my wife. Yeah, my husband is a little bit way too big. I mean, Merab is a great fighter, but my husband is bigger. It's also Merab is not that kind of guy. If we ever meet and we actually ever become friendly, once he knows that I have a husband, he in Georgian, like Georgians are very good. Georgians at least are very respectful. When knowing Merab, how honorable and how good he is, he would look at me like a sister. That's it. Like no, no, Merab is not going after married women. That's 100%. Sometimes it's nice just to hear you talk, and it's not easy listening to a woman talk usually. Ask my husband. Oh gee, thanks, appreciate it, appreciate it. Sometimes I rant, sometimes yeah, I mean, ask my husband literally. But yeah, as much as I rant every now and then, I'm trying to work on it. When it's conversations, obviously I actually do listen quite a lot. I try to let others talk. I practice that quite a lot. But when it's a live stream, it's just me and me reading comments, right? So okay, now I'm gonna have to. Well, I'm gonna have.
So yeah, let me know if you can hear me properly. Yeah, for a little bit I gotta have to charge my phone so it doesn't die. What and I appreciate the most those fighters like Merab, Pereira, and Pantoja. They don't fight excuses. They work hard. I agree. I agree. Good point. Um, okay, so the real problem. Let's read this one. That's Trandon. I think says a good point here. The real problem with UFC fighters and weight cuts is that they simply cannot do them multiple times a year without damaging their bodies. Exactly. That's what I've been saying. That's why I agree with Joe Rogan. Yeah, weight cutting should be completely. They also, guys, also consider that there are big differences between the weight. There are too little of weight categories in the UFC. That's called that way. In boxing, if you see, you have twice as much, if not more, weight classes because, and that's why you have. It's easier to transit and easier to adapt to a specific weight class. The weight cutting should be completely removed from the sport and banned. If that happened, fighters and champions could compete multiple times a year without putting their health at such an extreme risk. Yeah, also weight cutting. usually involves so-called rapid water cutting. And when you do water cutting, your brain membrane becomes thinner, and that makes your brain more vulnerable to any brain damage further down the line, and CTE including. But also rehydration. So hydration test. Unfortunately, in UFC they don't have hydration tests, which is silly. One championship have one championship have hydration tests, and that's one of the biggest things. Okay, even if they don't change weight cut, sorry, the weight classes and the weight cutting system, at least they need to have hydration tests. So they make sure the hydration is in place. Merab is a machine, but he's a human like us, of course. Yeah, Merab was close, but now, yeah, Islam's winning streak is there. But Islam has a threat in the welterweight, which is Michael Morales. And the reason why I'm saying, guys, because the guy is natural wrestler, BJJ, pushing on striking, crazy reach. He's like a Alex Pereira of the welterweight, and his knockout power is like boom, boom, flat. He can knock out Islam easy, but he can also knock out anyone in the welterweight easy. And his position is interesting because he's actually sitting low because he knows how to wrestle. He knows how to do takedown defenses. And even if Islam puts him on the ground, he's so big, it won't be that hard for him to recover. So I think Michael Morales is the biggest threat for Islam in the welterweight. Let me know if you think so. My husband asks, "How are you?" I got goosebumps in who the fight and post fight content. This is it. Like for some reason, that was the fight where I teared up. Pereira versus Jones, easy for Jones. I mean, I love Pereira, and Jones having some mat rust now, but still he got this. Pereira still also doesn't have a ground game, unfortunately. Every match he can get broken, but he's gonna get repaired. Which comment did I ignore? Let me see. I'm scrolling up a little bit. Merab searching for wife. Can you marry him? Ah, okay, that's the one. Well, my husband already responded to that one, and also I responded to the Islam winning streak. That's okay. No need to cry. Merab took the defeat honorably. That was a competitive fight. It wasn't an embarrassing loss or anything like that. Congrats to Petr Yan, and Merab's gonna be back, but he needs to rest more. Yeah, keep scrolling up, guys. I gotta skip some comments because Ilya versus Islam might take somewhere maybe in a catch weight, maybe for the superstardom fight. But yeah, at this point, lightweight division has its own things going on, and the welterweights getting interesting as well. Yeah, my husband says she's married to me, so no, she cannot. Like I said, it would be for his. Yeah, my husband is not giving me to anyone else. Stop the spamming, guys. Please don't spam. My husband is the moderator who's gonna time me off. did you Jones and Hamzat? Um, well, it's interesting. I think Hamzat was a little bit too small for the heavyweight. That's the thing. The only thing with wrestling, when it's too big of a person and too heavy of the person or strong of a person to hold down. So that's why they're even wrestling there weight classes, right? So yeah, he is in the middleweight right now, and I think Hamzat is comfortable at the middleweight. Maybe light heavyweight could be, but a heavyweight is a little bit too much for Hamzat. Well, he had to force weight cuts this year, and that was the biggest factor. And then another thing is the boxing, high volume, high pace, and less damaging boxing versus Ian's elite, more calculating, less pace, more like energy preserving, but more damaging striking, right? Boxing and striking. So, uh, like that type of fight for Merab was new, and I respect him for trying it, and I think it was a great step up in his game. He just needs to keep going on it, but he needs to rest more as well. Like those 4 times weight cuts too much. I think 2 3 times maximum a year is like should be a maximum um, for a champions to defend the title, because don't forget those are also 25 minute fights, 5 rounds, every round 5 minutes. It's easier to when you're upcoming contender and when you're upcoming fighter and then you become a contender in the division, it's easier to do like a 3 round fights a little bit more often. Islam should not fight Morales, Prades, or Usman because he will just submit them. Islam is just pinnacle of wrestling. It's not gonna matter that you natural wrestler or not. You cannot grapple with him. Not Morales. Like with Morales, guys, you don't understand a little bit. Like you put Morales against Islam or anyone else, even if okay, uh, yeah, he's the pinnacle of the wrestling guy, no doubt about that. But here is the weight and eight, like this, the weight and size disparity matters. Um, Morales, Michael Morales is young. He's the weight bully in the welterweight. Uh, he has a super long reach. Even for the middleweight, he has a super long reach. His knockout, so he like for him for Islam counter striking him gonna be super hard. Morales gonna just reach him with 1 2 punches, and but if it happens he can knock him out easy. Okay, Islam goes for the wrestling, which is obviously more advantage there, but Morales is not Ilya Taporia. Morales is not going to be that easy to be held on the ground. Also, considering that Morales is a wrestler himself and with a judo background. Actually, his mother is a judo ex judoka and judo judge herself. So that since he was 3 years old, he's been judo. Then he was doing Greco-Roman wrestling or freestyle wrestling, if I'm not mistaken. And then he got started doing MMA and striking, and the guy is so much bigger and stronger. So he's like that's what it's called weight bullying. I think the real threat in welterweight for Islam Makhachev is in welterweight division is Michael Morales at this point. Uh, Shaukat could be interesting, but again, still think that against everyone else, Islam's wrestling is superior, 100%. But against Morales, even I'm not saying Islam technically might be a better fighter, but Morales is more like a quite well-rounded, natural freak for the welterweight division, and that's gonna play its factors. Um, Tell me if you disagree with me. No, they were playing around, and Hamzat took Jones down. Hmm. Oh yeah, I saw that one. Yeah, but it's also play wrestling. That doesn't say necessarily much about the real fight. I mean, I don't think Hamzat goes up, but if he goes up, it actually could be interesting because they are heavyweights. They're way bigger heavyweights than Hamzat, height wise and obviously size wise. But if he dares to do that, light heavyweight or heavyweight could be cool. That means he would step up the competition. But Hamzat is a safe player. He doesn't defend his belt often. He's gonna wrestle. He's not like Merab in the case like Merab just decided to show more entertaining fight all of a sudden, even by um, that it costed him as the loss. Again, nothing against Piotr Jan. He won fair and square, but I'm just saying, Merab's intention was also to do more striking. Hamzat is way more. He's gonna always push more on the grappling. He has some knockouts though. I think he could be great at striking. Just push more on it too. But wrestling is like a major arsenal, and he just does it safe. Hey girl, how long should you train with jump rope when you are beginning? Just start as long as you can. Just a few minutes, 1 minute, 2 minutes, just a little bit. I was horrible at uh, rope jumping, and it took me 2 weeks to actually become like find the pace and learn how to do 5-10 minutes. And then I learned how to do double unders and yeah, just practice. Okay, and keep scrolling up, guys. People underestimate how dangerous Alex Pereira really is for someone like Jones. Jones has never faced his level of pure one-shot death in the stand-up. One small mistake, one lazy entry. I'm not saying that Pereira is not that's not possible, but it just Jones is way more well equipped fighter generally. Despite me, Pereira is one of my all-time favorites, but in heavyweight with the longer reach, with the bigger like oblique kicks and spinning back kicks. I'm talking about Joan being prepared, not just the fat Uncle Joan that he is now, but like for actual preparation. Also, he's better at the ground game. He can just simply keep him on the ground. That's the only reason why I'm saying that. Does Pereira have um, a striker's luck chance, or meaning that he just gets there and just boom boom and he lands those knockout punches? Yeah, of course he has. Okay, keep scrolling up. I think a well prepared and determined Osman is the only hardest fight for Islam before the Shavkat fight. Um, Usman has a big problem. He's past his prime, and when I say past his prime, your IQ is not getting like it doesn't disappear, but your body fades. And he has two, as long as I remember, he has two major problems with both of his hip joints, and yeah, that is just crazy. That's just like it's so painful to walk and even stand properly long term, like in the stand. So it also slows you down. Obviously, there are other factors. So that's the only reason why Usman gave a hard time together as Gilbert Burns to Hamzat Chimaev, like at least wrestling wise. So and the wrestling wise, Hamzat and I think Hamzat's wrestling is way more offensive or way more aggressive uh, than Islam's. But Islam is more like very well equipped because he has a very active BJJ elements there too. But the point is they're close at the wrestling level, like the elite level, and those two guys gave a hard time to Hamzat. So I think Usman have chances with Islam, but there's so many other factors that he's just a little bit slower, a little bit the things that he could do before. It might be harder to do now. To me, like a really real threat, like no question. Again, Michael Morales, I already explained why. Why? I don't think Islam can knock him out. At least with the one punch or something, he will really have to kind of get the right angle there or something. But that's super dangerous for him because again, that guy is like a super powerful puncher. And the wrestling wise, it's just gonna be hard for him to hold on the ground himself. Two reasons: because he's a wrestler himself, also has a judo background. He most likely knows how to do the takedown defenses. But even if he's down there, it's not. It's easier for you to get up if you're a bigger guy against a smaller elite wrestler. If you're a smaller guy, that is a little bit of the physical and the size factor playing here. Thoughts on the Gagey Paddock fight? Does Arman deserve this shot? Well, technically, Arman has to be one of those. Definitely, I would probably Arman versus Gagey would be a fair thing. But also, after bailing, like so-called having an injury before, like a day before fighting Islam, in reality, failing the weight and, or I don't know, maybe even something worse. And then I think there was something else. Was it the weight was the camera, like he failed the weight. So and he, no, not the camera. He didn't fight. But I'm talking about Hooker. I saw somewhere someone said that he actually didn't make weight with the Dan Hooker either. It just Dan Hooker was like, okay, just whatever, that's okay. So they still had a fight. So, I mean, if a guy is doing this and then he wants a title shot, I think I kind of understand why Dana White is punishing him. But on the other hand, he is number one contender as the fighter, like skill wise, and yeah, 100%. Like people want to see, they want him, um, they want to see him to fight, right? Islam 5'11", Morales 6'1". He just got the better reach. No, he got a crazy reach. Again, the striking threat. But the thing is, with the striking threat versus Islam is that he just not gonna strike with you and take you down. But again, I said Morales has a wrestling and BJJ, sorry, the wrestling and judo background that he's just not using at this point, but he actually is natural. That's like since his childhood, since he was 3 years old, he's been doing that. So it's already going to be harder to keep him on the ground or even do the takedown comparing to GDM, for example, who's been training BJJ, but BJJ doesn't do much against wrestling except saving you from the submission. Plus, when I say he's bigger, yeah, I think he carries more weight naturally, and considering that Islam just went up welterweight and he's like a natural welterweight. Well, Morales is actually natural middleweight, and he carries way more weight. He cuts down there, so you know what happens after they pass weight? They gain the weight back as much as they managed to stock up beforehand. So having him down on the ground, it's not going to be as easy as someone like GDM. So sometimes it's just basically outpowering and getting up there. The fact of if he's wrestler and having judo background, judo, well, judo is more for the throws and obviously having some elements of the ground part of it. But when you have a wrestling background, obviously you know how to do the takedown defense at the very least. So it's gonna probably Morales probably gonna try to keep it up in the stance and exactly force it up to be able to do that the striking threat. So all I'm saying is Morales physically as being a little bit of the freak for the weight freak for the welterweight, it's just not gonna be that easy. And here, I'm not even talking about skill. I'm more talking about pure um, power, slash strength, and a little bit of the size advantage here. And I'm not saying that 100% he's winning or something, but I really see him as a real threat to Islam. Okay, what's going on here? My husband says here, stop being idiots and have silly challenges for a fight with Diana. If you're a girl that can reach 48 kgs match weight, you're welcome. Otherwise, try to make sense of life. You got the answer. I still disagree. Islam outboxed Dustin very good at avoiding striking. That his main attribute while standing up. And again, no matter how much wrestling, but you have it's again, Dustin. That wasn't a lightweight. Dustin is like a natural lightweight. We're talking about natural middleweight coming down to the welterweight. Guys, remember I'm talking you. Apart from the technique and skill, there is a difference into physicality, the size, the reach difference. Those factors play a big role sometimes, and the cards lay a little bit differently. The higher you go in the weight class, that's why they're like everyone has their own limitations. So when if that fight ever happens, well, remember what I was saying. Power punches, BJJ specialist, wrestling Olympics, boxer clinches, all of them above. Are you talking about Morales? BJJ, I didn't know. I remember he has like wrestling judo. Oh, I mean BJJ and MMA. Everyone has to be BJJ, but wrestling Olympics, I don't remember that. Wait, Tom's out, Aspinall. Well, they're being they show that there been diagnoses, few diagnoses actually post fight that started developing. That's what happens to his eyes. So yeah, obviously he needs to take care of his health, even if he has to retire. I mean, what can do? I wish him the best with his health. Also, some people think that I don't like Islam. I actually like Islam. I think he's hilarious. I think he's one of the best like fighters at this point, pound for pound in UFC. He's definitely my favorite fighter out of Dagestani fighters. I think he's the most humble and funny and chill out of them. And he also actually proves like there is not that many questions regarding Islam. All I'm saying is in the welterweight now, and even in the welterweight, young Gary, I think he walks through him. Carlos Prates, strikers luck could be there, but he might. Both young Gary and Carlos Prates is probably going to end up as the GDM. Shaukat, more interesting, but again, still leaning towards Islam, or at least, close fight. Well, Morales to me seems to be an actually really real challenge for Islam in the welterweight. That's all I'm saying. And well, you gotta make a point. Yeah, don't actually say a point if you disagree with me. Yeah, he's very likable. Merab. Yeah, Merab is also funny, and the way he took that loss, even. Come on, guys, the way he took that loss. He just literally said, I don't want to make any excuses. Ian was a better man today. I want the rematch. I tried to destroy it. I'm happy that this fight was entertaining. I think the one thing he is happy about at least that he, in his resume, this is probably one of the most entertaining fights he had. And that means he's growing in the right direction. You cannot hit Merab after that. Come on. Jan has had a crazy road back to the championship. Yeah, absolutely agree with that too. Better nowadays, men submitted two of the best BJJ artists in under 10 minutes and nearly made GDM cry. So I can't doubt him. Well, the point is, just a BJJ against a Greco-Roman, the Caucasian, Georgian, Dagestani wrestling. It's like a similar style of. Seriously? 4-4. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna try to. I'll see if there's a problem with the internet. I'm gonna connect to the thing. But anyways, what I'm saying is the Morales, apart from the OG was saying, I was talking about John Jones about okay, yeah, because I was like confused a little bit. I was talking about John Jones about Olympic wrestlers, power punchers, BJJ specialists, all of them. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Well, Jones is one of the best mixed martial artists. Like or dislike, he's been dirty. He failed the drug test just purely as the IQ and skill set, and I guess being able to execute things that others were not able. I think John Jones is one of the top of the entire MMA history. But speaking of the Morales, again, Morales is a wrestler too. So wrestling against wrestling, you can only counter wrestling with wrestling. Actually, almost like I would say, countering. I mean, what's a little bit okay. I'm not going to take that example. That's a little bit different case, but uh, in the later years proved that BJJ was first dominant thing. Then you have Gilbert Burns and some others coming in and pushing more of the wrestling, but with the mix of other stuff as well. And then you have Dagestani, like Russian Dagestani wrestling coming in like aggressive Caucasian wrestling, North Caucasus wrestling. And all of a sudden, BJJ doesn't work. It works only for you to be able to not to let them submit you at the best case, and that's it. But it doesn't give you the victory. However, if you put wrestling, the Caucasian wrestling, and put a Greco-Roman wrestling against it, which is Greco-Roman is one of the most physical, or a freestyle or combination of those two. Freestyle is a very agile style. Greco-Roman is more like physical wrestling. Anyways, you just need to be able to counter those. On the top of everything, obviously, you need to have a BJJ background, which are both Islam and I think Morales have too. But again, even if there is no as good of the BJJ background, wrestling against the wrestling is the key in this case to be able to not fight, not wrestle Islam, but just be able to take down defense, escape the positions, that kind of stuff. And well, Michael Morales being doing that from since he was 3 years old, actually. So that means he's been doing that since his childhood. That means he has the patterns developed. That means he's not going to be as easy for Islam. I'm not saying he's better wrestler as Islam. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it might be enough for him to be able to counter Islam's wrestling and combined with his power and size and muscle mass advantage, just being able to keep it on the stand up, and on the stand up there is like there's I don't think anyone can stand against Morales. Everyone in the welterweight is getting knocked out once that 1-2 combo or even that single punch lands on the person. Okay, I'm keep scrolling up, guys. Appreciate you being here for such a long time. Despite Merab losing, this was the low key great card. It was a great action. Yeah, except the Pantoja. That was unfortunate one. Okay, keep scrolling up. Canadian and American fighters are so weak. They lost most of the time. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's happening. Maybe because American, like It's a better life. Well, don't get mistaken, because actually, a lot of fighters like Merab used to, and some of the others, they might represent other countries, but they train in United States. It's just they are more hungry. Maybe they just like have more to prove or something like that. But a lot of preparation they go through, or a lot of places they train or leave part time, is United States. So United States has a great preparation, schools, systems, like the places, but it's just the people that now, like we have Russians dominating, we have Brazilians, we have one Australian, Volkanovski, we have well, I mean, until Merab was there, Georgians. What is common with these people? Well, coming maybe from more poorer backgrounds, or from the countries where it's like the culture heavily relying around those the mixed martial arts, or wrestling, or striking, or something like that. Everyone loves Merab. I appreciate you saying that. Jan was simply the better fighter tonight. Piotr is so skilled. Yes, there was. Yeah, only respect. Okay. Indian fighter. I want to fight with the Paul rules, babe. Yeah, Paul rules are. Why is Nina curse Merab like this? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, we know that it's not Nina curse. Obviously, we know that it's like some other stuff, but it's still funny. It always makes me laugh. But I don't think Morales will get a title shot. It's either Gary or Usman. Yeah, oh, it's rather Ian Gary or Usman in the beginning, because they also don't want Islam to get exposed to the. No disrespect, but when they have a good champ, they're not gonna put the hardest match for him from the beginning. They're gonna try to hype it up at least, or maybe Islam ends up not even fighting Morales at all. I definitely see Morales being, if he stays in the welterweight, he's being a welterweight champ at some point, one way or another. The question is just if Islam's going to fight him at some point or not. I would see young Gary, Usman, those two. Then Carlos Prades is like an easy one. Obviously, it depends how the other fights within the division lay out, but I think they're gonna keep Morales as far as possible from Islam at this point. Brazilians are fruity. Nina Drama is a curse to champions. Can you get your feedback on Jack Liddell? I mean, well, um, a legend. He was there, by the way, in that event. Yeah, one vampire just had lunch. Anyway, Merab is my inspiration. Let's go, Merab. Appreciate it, and I hope he's gonna be back. But no, no rush. He deserved to rest. Merab Chin finished today. Not really. I mean, he also proved that now he can get his face crushed, and he doesn't back up. He can tolerate pain, and he doesn't give up. He's a champion in his mind. Yeah, I feel bad for Pantoja as well. That was like it. That was probably the second nastiest thing that I saw. The first one was Anderson Silva's broken shin. That was probably the most craziest thing. But this one was nasty. That injury. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Van. Someone said he also shouldn't have to be that happy and celebrated. Yeah, I agree because like I would be like, I mean, I'm so sorry for what happened, and I hope he recovers soon. And kind of like, I mean, I hope I can just show you that I actually deserve that title. But yeah, that was so unfortunate. I think it's Usman next, which would make sense. Rather Ian Gary or Usman are also the easiest matchups for Islam. Who do you see can beat Islam, bro? As I said, Michael Morales has is the I think the biggest threat. Maybe Shakat as well, but there can be Shakat can be like a close, good fight. They kind of go either way. Morales, I think, has kind of all those important factors that can be a massive threat for Islam. I'm Georgian, same country as Merab. Howdy, Kyla. Good to see you here. Piotr Yan have a good skills. Let's do Piotr Yan versus Umar. Oh, I think. Well, that's interesting. I think Piotr Yan at this preparational level wins against Umar. Yan beating Garcia, Ryan Garcia. Not really. No, no, no. That's a different footwork, different reaction. It's just because it looks good in MMA. Even Taporia's boxing, just because it looks good in MMA, in the boxing, it's a completely different competition at the elite level, at least. Huh, my hair, thanks. Gary said he will train in Georgia if he gets the title shot. Unfortunately, with that, I don't think there will be enough time for Gary, who don't really have a good like wrestling is it's harder to learn. Somehow, striking is easier to learn in the short notice rather than wrestling. So instead of waiting for getting title shot or not, he actually better like starts doing it now, just generally. So it's a little bit like a silly attitude to do it because wrestling actually takes longer time to master. I think Ian Gary has a better chance than Morales. Like on what ground? Like if you're saying it, at least please tell me. Like you also did you see how Ian Gary was like he won against Bilal, but Bilal actually put a good fight. Like Bilal actually used what he got quite well, and Ian Gary felt like he even the reach he's having, he's not really knowing how to use it properly good enough. So no disrespect to the guy, but I'm just talking about like the way it looks, and he doesn't have a ground game. Like no, kind of downhill months for Georgian. Well, you know what? That's okay because I'm gonna be here. Someone said, if will I still talk about the UFC even if there is no Georgian champions? Well, the answer is I will. I'm gonna be still there. Always good to see me you're alive, Kayla. Yeah, we really. Um, oh, it does matter to us. Like we always are. Like if just to make sure you're doing well. MMA striker, so it's a boxer, is just a gimmick. We saw what happened with, to McGregor and Ngannou, Ilya, and Jan will face the same fate. Yes, exactly. Actually, funny thing, the only person in UFC who holds both, who used to have both UFC and a boxing, I think it was WBC belts, it was Holly Holm. a female mixed martial artist. She knocked out Ronda Rousey, if you remember, in UFC. But before, she's been doing boxing for 10 years, and um, she was a WBC welterweight champion in the females division. You're from Georgia too, yeah? I am. You're right, Diana. Ian reminds me of a Stefan Sturb, tall but didn't use their height to max advantage. Yeah, that's a good example, actually. Yeah, I mean, you notice that too, right? Because man, if you put that in the right technique, his reach is like he actually could be a superior striker. But because of his like he not used potential, he's not that much of the power puncher either, and he doesn't protect himself enough, so he swallows a lot of punches himself. I do believe that Islam can even outstrike him on the instance. After seeing how he did against GDM, I believe Islam can. And obviously, if he doesn't if he feels uncomfortable, of course he's gonna go on the ground and submit him. Yeah, Holmes is the only person who holds boxing, and she's actually the only. Yeah, no, not the only. There were others too, like short-term careers. But I think she's like the only long-term career, like like a champion, a boxer champion, coming to the mixed martial arts, and now actually went back. She won her. Yeah, she won her fight recently. I didn't see that one, but I just was following up. Yeah, even MVP uses his height excellent, just unorthodox. Yeah, Michael Venom Page. Well, yeah, he he does. Like with the young Gary, I know that he gets stuck in the wrong distance. So it almost feels like not only his advantage, but his footwork is not following up enough. So he gets stuck instead of like backing up off on time and react with the feet, which Michael Venom Page does very well. Like he has drop arms, but his footwork control is very good. With the young Gary, it's not the case. Like Bilal was coming at him with quite a good offensive, like a 1-2 shotters or like 3 shots, and he would uh, he would fall on the back foot. Maybe it's the first one, but the last two would land because he would get stuck in the distance. So that's some approximately how I can describe it. Are you sad Mirab lost? Well, of course I am, but at the same time, I'm not that sad because I think that was Mirab did his best to make that fight entertaining, and I think it was a competitive fight. Piotr Jan, great comeback, and good. Now Mirab actually has someone to rival with, like someone real, because Piotr so far is the only one who showed and proved that he really prepared and came back for Mirab. And yeah, I guess it's just I believe Merab's gonna be back. So yeah, I wasn't like very sad because I love mixed martial arts, and to me it was like okay, that happened, but it happens to anyone to a certain extent. It's like if every athlete, every fighter who stays long enough in the game, they lose one way or another. The only ones that who did not lose and kind of like ended up to be undefeated is the ones just who retired on the right time. That's it. She's not a Katie Taylor. I mean, Holly Holm. Well, Katie Taylor is arguably one of the best female boxers out there. Like technique wise as well. So it's hard to compare. Maybe Clarissa Shields you can compare, but Clarissa Shields is um, well, she's a big time puncher. She can be a one puncher. Older ones, I think one of the best ones that was actually Anne Wolf, which was more like a female version of Tyson. Um, but yeah, I mean, Katie Taylor is my personally one of my favorites. Yeah, Ian doesn't need super strong wrestling. He just needs defense, which he got. The ground game did not help to GDM. Not the ground game, the wrestling, guys. We need to differ the difference between actually going through a wrestling camp and not like Ian Gary said. If I get a title shot, I'll go to Georgia and train wrestling. No, do wrestling now. Go and train with Olympic wrestlers. You need wrestling. The ground game, there are two ground games at the very least. There is offensive ground game and defensive. The offensive one is usually Greco-Roman wrestling based or freestyle wrestling based or judos, whatever take you get on the top, you get to the leg, or you do the stroll like Ronda Rousey, like that kind of stuff. Usually, Greco-Roman slash freestyle wrestlings are the most effective ones. Sambo also works, yeah. Yeah, the sambo as a style as well. And then you have BJJ. BJJ was created as a defensive style of grappling for uh, smaller, um, martial artists actually. So that's why it's good for women, for the self defense, etc., etc. Right? So, no, Ian Gary and everyone, if they want to get on the elite level, they need to get on wrestling, Greco-Roman or freestyle or like both. I would go Greco-Roman because it's quite physical as well. You need that power, you need that groove to be able to. That if you really want to learn a proper takedown defense, well then you need to do that against the Greco-Roman wrestler to be able to do that takedown defense. So that's the misconception. BJJ proved to be not working except just helping you to um, protect yourself from the submission against the wrestler and BJJ. I'm not saying BJJ is not. You need BJJ that already proved that it's good to have BJJ game. That means you can always recover or even go on submissions from the bottom position. But what about the offensive grappling? Rap loss so not ideal for us, my husband says. Yeah, I will never understand Ronda Rousey's thoughts to strike with Holly Holm and Amanda Nunes, but I fully believe it was her coach that was her downfall. Delusion. It's very easy to put a person on a path of delusion. Speaking of delusion and the BJJ versus Caucasian, Greco-Roman, any type of aggressive, offensive wrestling styles. If you think that BJJ only gonna help you against countering the wrestling, you're wrong. You're delusional. Again, I'm not meaning to offend anyone. I'm just saying that this is how the dynamics are going. This is how it just goes. And again, after GDM Islam fight, it was clear to me because I thought that like he was like GDM was training actively sorry, the BJJ, all that kind of stuff. I was like, oh, maybe he has a chance. But then when I saw that, it just helped, same as DDP. It just helped him not to get submitted, and that's it. That's the maximum that only BJJ did against Caucasian wrestling. I was like, no, you gotta counter it with rather Greco-Roman or freestyle wrestling. Yeah, yeah, Islam is funny though. Yeah, my husband says behave. So I don't know. I'm not. I'm ignoring some BS in the chat. I try to focus on the good questions and good statements. Why do you? Why do I look like Merab? Because my nose is slightly shifted too. It's such a shame that we never had MVP in the UFC earlier on his career. That's true, and he's also at his older age, relatively speaking, he's the only Bellator champion who actually having a relative success in the UFC at this point. It's interesting because I think all the Bellator champions been failing, and it was showing the disparity in the levels between the Bellator and UFC. Have some respect, and she does not look like Merab. You must be okay. That that's all right. Maybe we Georgians have some similar look around about us or something. After that loss, Merab Dvalishvili will come back sharper, smarter, and more dangerous in the rematch. He will beat Piotr Yan not by chaos, but from pressure, pace, and will. Well, I think they are there to evolve his striking. I think as a boxer, I can tell you his boxing is better. His jabs are good. The power, the accuracy, and the timing was something that was not as good as Piotr's, but it's understandable. Piotr is a boxer. He's naturally good at it. Actually, he's been practicing it for a long time. So his timing, his accuracy, his pacing, meaning lower volume on the punches but more accurate strikes and calculated strikes, are better. That's what Merab needs to train. Apart from cardio and the wrestling, I mean, he already has all of that. But if they keep improving his sparring, that's what they need to working on it. Strategy, timing, and preserving the energy striking, because striking cardio is different than the wrestling cardio. Yes, wrestling is dominating because it's more pressuring, but don't think that if you put a wrestler and try them to do boom 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 relax pace boom relax pace boom 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 like that kind of interval explosions. This is different pattern. You need to get used to that type of cardio to actually be efficient and powerful at the same time. So that's why I think that Merab actually exhausted himself a little bit too. As a striker, I can tell you that there is such a thing. You can take too high of the pace, and you kind of wear yourself off. And it's not about that he generally has a good cardio. It's about the pattern that he all of a sudden has a completely new game that is not usual for him. So I hope they're gonna train towards adapting to him, learning, teaching him like for him to learn how to pace it better, and we actually get the Rob who is combining good striking and wrestling, and improve even more improved cardio, and coming back as the repaired, even the more upgraded machine. Yeah, keep scrolling up, guys. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you being guys here. I'm just reading through the chat, guys, and smiling to myself. Ian versus Islam, Shavkat versus GBM, and Pradas versus Morales have close in. No, it's a good take. Yeah, that's okay. Human commenting. I appreciate you being very defending. I really thank you. Respect to you. And yeah, people's gonna say shit. It's about practicing our art of detachment. Just don't ignore it. Guys, I appreciate you being here. Where's the mic? Well, it's charging. I was charging my phone. But guys, I don't think Ilya is scared of anyone, so I don't think he's ducking our mind. I think Ilya just needs time to fix his family issues and wish him the best. I think her internet isn't working the best. Yeah, maybe my internet is getting a little bit off and stuff, but I also need to get going, guys. I have a karaoke to. I need to host karaoke in a few hours. So, well, good talk again. Merab lost. Pantoja got injured. We have some young prospects, and that was interesting. Generally, it was a good card despite all the unfortunate stuff going on. But as a Georgian, I'll say Merab is going to be back and he's going to be back better. But congrats to Piotr Jan. He probably did one of the best comebacks out there in the UFC. Okay, but I hope you enjoy that karaoke. Yeah, um, yeah, enjoyed the conversation with you guys. Again, thanks for being here. I see you in the next one. Feel free to join for karaoke.